1. Oh. Alright, and Tube likes to give copyright, so let me cut this off. Let me cut this off. Okay. Perfect. What's going on, Tube? We are now live over here. Welcome in, welcome in. Those of you on the tickety-tockety side, I'm nervous for the midterms. Yeah, a lot of people are. There's not really much we can do about that, but making sure that we do our part, right? That's the big thing. That's the ultimate thing. Make sure you're registered to vote by the deadline. I know here in Texas, we had a deadline for a couple propositions on the 6th, which I'm good. And then I have to check on the rest for that. But yeah, make sure you're registered and make sure you're informed on who you're going to vote for and talk to the right people to see who can get to vote alongside you. That's the big thing. That's the big thing. Once we do that, the rest is... we'll see what happens with the rest. Obviously, there's a lot of people who are very upset with this administration on our side of the aisle. There's some on the right side who are upset. So the big thing now is, what are you going to do about it, right? What are you going to do about it now, right? Hector says he's a dropout and smarter than everyone. No, I said I'm a homeschool dropout that's smarter than your average Trump supporter. I stand on that, yeah. Yeah. I don't know why you do this, because we're just going to end up doing this every time until inevitably it gets sick enough to permanently block you. If you don't have a question, you can zip it. There you go. There you go. Look at that. Trump bragged about taking away your First Amendment. I'll do the same. I'll do the same. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters. I said that for the black people. I see y'all. Theys, thems, and MAGA. Welcome to the live. Today, you're going to have the wonderful opportunity of asking a wee silly old little liberal like myself questions that you may have about political process, questions you may have about anything in regards to Texas politics, questions that you may have about MAGA side, Kamala Harris, all the good things, doesn't matter. You may ask them if you so choose, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. With that being said, we have 50 people in the live currently. Make sure we tap the screen. Let's get us up to 10K likes as soon as possible. Knock out the roses. Those of you on the Tube side, you know what to do. On the TikTok side, request up in the box to the demographic of people that I want to have a conversation with, which is everyone. And on the Tube side, and even this side, there's a number you can call in, and we can go that route as well. Dark and mysterious. What's your age and state? Great. And what is your question? Yeah, he's definitely challenged it, yes. Trump, easily. There's several lawsuits against Donald Trump, but what lawsuit are you referencing? Okay. I don't know why you think a lawsuit would determine if he's impeded on that freedom of speech or not. No. No, why would I agree with that? What did he do? What did he do? Oh, okay. What lawsuit is that? What lawsuit is that? Now, I don't know if that was Mark Zuckerberg specifically. What I do have is a letter on August the 26th of 2024 with him specifically stating that he was never forced to censor anything. There was pressure. There was pressure very much put on the administration. Yes, pressure is not force, and pressuring someone as pressuring a private institution that was responsible for pressuring an administration or a private corporation. Okay, I know you hear me talking now, so if you can just give me a second to finish my sentence, you can get the answer that you want. Okay, great. So pressuring a private institution to watch the content or asking them to guard the content that's being posted on your platform that is detrimental to society here in the US and the health of citizens is not in any way, shape, or form. I'm not finished talking. So I don't do this thing where I'm playing the mute button with y'all anymore. Okay, problem solved. There you go. That's how we handle that. So I'll answer your question now. Pressuring a private institution to watch the content that's being posted on there and flag the right materials because it is therefore, I don't know, threatening the lives of citizens who decide to do things like drink bleach and think ivermectin is going to solve anything and walk outside and sit in the sun. It's going to heal the vid. That's not impeding on your freedom of speech. Guess what? If my mother calls me every single day and my mother says, you need to get baptized, you need to go to church, you need to get baptized, you need to have your life saved, she's not impeding on my freedom of speech for pressuring me to get a baptism. Does that make sense? Because I still have every right to go and say, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I don't think you understand. I don't think you understand how taking away someone's freedom of speech or threatening someone's freedom of speech works. If you can show me a document that Biden threatened their administration, threatened them and said, if you don't do this, this happens. If you don't do this, this happens. Then we have a conversation. Then by all means, the Biden-Harris administration very much impeded on a private institution's freedom of speech. But that doesn't exist because, again, I have his letter showing that he was pressured, never forced. He said the decision was ultimately his own. And those are his words. So you can go ahead and find me his words where he said he was threatened or something like that, and then we can revisit that conversation. With that being said, can't hear the guest. What? Why is it always something? Hold on. Give me a second. Let me see what I can fix here. Hold on. Oh yeah, it is not working. All right, let me do a little bit of troubleshooting here. Continue to tap the screen, guys. Share the live. Do all of the good things. I swear this is like an every two things with this damn OBS situation. Restart and try that. Hold on. That should have fixed it. Boom. Should be good now. Should be good now. If a mod would like to come up and test that, please do. Unless you are someone who has a question, then you're more than welcome to request that. But yes, I am a liberal, answering questions that you may have, whether you're on the right or the left, about our political process, about our presidents, about our congressmen, about our governors, any other good thing. I don't know why Dark and Mysterious is still in the request, because I'm not wasting time with people. You came up here to argue, and then you literally couldn't shut up enough in time for me to answer your questions. Come back up when you have the documents that I requested. That's what you can come up for. Thank you, Natalia. Appreciate that. Not a
What are we
anymore?
testing?
Are you not? Whoopsies. Tube side. Can you respond if you just heard Martina? Can you say something, Martina?
Chicken noodle soup.
There you go.
Chicken noodle soup. Chicken noodle soup with the soda on the side.
Waiting on y'all's comments. If y'all heard Martina, the problem is solved. If not, back to square one. Hi, Amanda. Just waiting on the tube people. Heard the first. So y'all heard her? We good? The first guest? I thought y'all said y'all couldn't hear the guest.
Is somebody trolling you?
I don't know.
Is someone AV trolling you? That's messy. YouTube, get it together.
I'm waiting.
I mean, tube
I hear Martina.
sucks.
Perfect.
I don't know what to call it.
We're good. Thank you very much for that confirmation. All right. Everything's good now.
Okay.
Appreciate you
I have a
coming up,
question.
Martina. Yes.
How do I get you to go from liberal to leftist?
Uh, I mean, I was supposed to make a video about this before I even posted this video. I don't think there's any change to actually be made. Liberals are leftists. They're just on a different scale of it.
We could debate about that for hours.
We
But someone's in your
could.
box.
Okay. Let him up, please. I don't think I see him. Oh, no, that's the same guy. We're not
Oh,
wasting
it's the
time.
same person.
Yeah.
Sorry, I saw the little number.
Yeah, liberals are literally leftists. I don't know where we got the idea that they've just become moderates now. I think that's more of the left's revision of what the actual definition of being a liberal is, which is inherently being progressive. It's a different argument when it comes to different degrees. If you want to say left and liberal are different degrees of leftism, then certainly, by all means. But liberal is very much left.
I would say neolibs are centrists, to be like on the global scale, very much centrists.
Oh,
Like I wouldn't call a liberal and a democratic socialist the same thing. Like I wouldn't say Chuck Schumer and Zohran Mamdani have the same core beliefs.
do we really consider Chuck Schumer a liberal, though?
What do you mean? What would you call Chuck Schumer?
I feel like if anything, he would absolutely be a centrist, a moderate centrist, or what do they call him now? Moderate Democrat, or not moderate. What's the damn term? Conservative
Neoliberal.
Democrat, or yeah. I will still be.
He's a
like, it's little
neolib.
different. Hector, do you want to abolish capitalism? Ideally, yeah.
The further you get, yeah, you're leftist if you want like class and just general liberation for everybody. Liberals still want to function fully within a capitalist structure.
I would argue more so
Also-
liberals utilize it because it's here, like we kind of have to. I would say more so if you're a proud like active capitalist, like say people like Joe Biden or even to some degree Kamala, then I would say yeah, like that would be different. But in my case, I'm like fuck capitalism, but I also understand it can be a useful tool.
If you want to abolish capitalism and do the whole liberation, I wouldn't call yourself a liberal. I would call you someone further on the left than that.
Oh, well, we're all the same to maggots. Continue to tap the screen, share the live, do all the good things. Those of you on the tube side, making sure that you're liking the stream, doing all the good things. Appreciate all of you being there. We're very close to knocking out the watch hours goal on that, so all of you are awesome. Matt?
Yes.
All right, Matt, age and state, please.
23, Florida.
All right, what is your question?
Yeah. What would you think would be like a great candidate for the 2028 election for the Democrat side? Just curious.
Host is a socialist but doesn't realize it yet. I am a socialist. Yeah, I'm a proud socialist, democratic socialist, I would say. Great on which side of the aisle, I guess, or do you just think in general?
Just the left, like just to compete with
So
right.
for the presidency in 2028,
Yes, sir.
I would say my top pick currently is Andy Bashir.
Interesting. Any other like second place or third place
If I was to do
on the
a
list?
close second, I think at this point in time, Josh Shapiro. And not, to be clear, I don't care much for Josh Shapiro in a lot of ways, but I think in terms of his demeanor, the way he talks, I think he has one hell of a way to fire people up. So I think he would be a decent pick. And I'm going based off of what I find to be the most practical. If we're talking ideal, then we'd go right back to Kamala Harris, but she served her place and she said she's done. So people like AOC, I know a lot of folks want her to be running for president. I would love to see her as Speaker of the House. More so, not quite a president just yet. If we're talking about other progressives in the party, I say they still need a little bit more time, but if there's someone that can go straight to the White House, I think from like right now, those would be my top two picks, I would say.
All right. Yeah, that was just my questions. I was just curious. You have a great day.
Yeah, appreciate you coming up. What about you, Martina?
Oh dear. I think that I have a rough time answering that question right now. I think that it's likely that it'll be someone that gains steam. Like I'm expecting something like what happened with Obama, where people don't know the person yet, or like they're not a household
Sir, how are
name.
you?
And I think it's
Thank
going
you,
to be
Alice.
someone who trends toward the Democratic Socialist message, especially if Zoran takes New York and the stories out of New York go well, and people start getting used to the national platform of DSA. I think that someone from that crowd could start to break through,
I agree
which
with
would
that.
be AOC-ish, but AOC is compromised a couple of times or equivocated in language with Palestine. So I think that that might work against her in terms of being the candidate that represents DSA at that level.
That's fair.
We'll see.
That's fair.
I honestly, I don't think that the centrist thing is going to work. I think a huge amount of people who sat home or didn't get involved don't feel represented. So I almost think that the same reason why it'll be someone that is not a household name yet right now. I think what will galvanize a base is going to be something that feels new.
You know, that's actually what I was going to say. I'm actually one of the people. I think people on the left need to be careful about how they talk about the pendulum swing. I do not think that we have 2028 in the bag because of that at all. I think we've seen enough people tired of any centrist position, and even to the ones who lean more progressive, they want more. So I think at least on one or two key things, we're gonna have to go pretty this way to really motivate a lot of people. Unless this candidate is just like the bee's knees. So yeah, I do think we have a whole lot of work if we have a chance to win in 2028, because I think JD Vance or another GOP person is the next runner-up. We know how Republicans are going to vote just because, whereas we're sitting here nitpicking everything. So the next candidate's going to have to be one hell of a person for sure.
I think we also forget the we've gotten out of practice of what it means to have a primary, like a deep contentious primary field, and how much primary season actually shoves the party to the left. Like if you didn't have Bernie gaining as much steam as he did against Hillary, you wouldn't have seen a shift toward more progressive platforms, right? And so I think if it's not somebody who is on the Democratic Socialist or Socialist spectrum, somebody will get very close to winning from that side of the spectrum when it comes to the primary itself.
That is correct.
So.
You
can eat me if you want.
Huh? You're fine to stay up here if you want. Continue to tap the screen. We're up to 17K likes, 130 people in the live. Let's get that up to 30K, and let's get that up to 30K as soon as possible. Friendly reminder to call in or request up in the box if you are a liberal or a conservative, whatever you want to identify yourself, and you may have a question about quite literally anything really when it comes to politics. We'll do our best to answer it for you. Share out the live to your friends and family and pet ops. Some of you guys have those. It's weird, but I'm not judging. And do all the good things. Like I said, the attempt here today is to not do the contentious BS that the first guest attempted to do, and just literally to answer questions and to have conversations. So we'll see how well this goes. The goal is, upon doing this enough, because those of you remember when I started doing lives, it was literally asking me questions about Kamala Harris. And everyone turned it into a debate, of course. But there were legitimately a bunch of people who just didn't know much about her, and I was able to help. So that's now what I'm attempting to do with the rest of our government. So we will do that. Continue to tap the screen and do all the good things. Find the judges, Wentz, judges. You're going to have ranked choice voting for the primary. Nope, we are quite not as evolved as New York is just yet on the federal level. I think ranked choice voting, one of the reasons why the Republican Party is so scared of it is because they know how damn effective it would be against basically unaliving their party and unaliving a large portion of their candidates. Because what I find interesting... Yes, go ahead.
If they had ranked choice voting when Trump was running, Trump never would have won the primary.
Yeah.
Like there's way more of the Republican base that didn't want Trump than did. and the coalition like voting strategies where, hey, if you rank me and then rank everybody else but Trump, would have kept him from winning,
Thank you, Nala.
I think.
I agree. What a lot of people tend to forget, there's the voting basis on both parties, and then there's everyone else who doesn't care for most of the candidates that they put up. If you had a ranked choice voting and somebody was allowed to go in, not based off of the capital they're able to raise or the people that they know and the parties that can give them endorsements, it was just
God bless you.
purely their merit, their policy platform, their speech, their demeanor. I would argue the majority of people on the left and the right that we uphold so dearly now wouldn't even be a part of the conversation, which is exactly why we want it so bad. But we're a long way from abolishing the Electoral College. We are a very long way from that. And by long, I would argue it damn near feels impossible sometimes because they will fight tooth and nail for it. Thank you guys for the pies. Thank you, Nala, so much. I appreciate you. Let me reset this gift goal here.
To be fair, we're not evolved in our general. So our primaries are ranked choice voting, and our primaries are also matching funds. So Zoran raised 1 million, wound up with 8 million to spend because they like up they eight times your whatever you raise, and then there's a spend cap.
Is that how it works in general?
So
or is that a New York thing?
It's New York. It's New York primary rules. So we have ranked choice voting, we have a funding match, a fundraising match, and then we have a spend cap on how much money you can spend. But now, like as we're going into the mayoral, it's not going the same limits and matches don't apply. And like our congressional primaries don't have the same limits.
Okay, so this is like the first draft, I guess, of the race. It's whoever raises the most then gets it multiplied by 8.
Up to 8 million, and then that's your spend limit. That's like so there's basically, if you took the progressive ideals of if you middled out the idea of money out of politics. So if you're a smaller ticket, you can get matching funds, and then the spend limit is 8 million. So even if you have a ton of money in a primary campaign, like that limit of match is 8 million.
Interesting. Why can't the rest of it work like Interesting. Okay.
It would be the right model, right? It, actually, like to be honest, everyone should get equal money. It's super interesting because in like our congressional races in New York City, you'll see like district, I think it was District 10.
God bless you.
More
Thank you,
money.
Nala, for clearing that out. Big W's to you. Thank you so much. Sorry, go ahead.
The guy who has that seat now, Goldman, I think spent like 12 million on himself, and then people spent like 15 million on counter ads against his opponent to make sure that he won. So like the combined there was 27 in spend against his opponent, because 12 for him, 15 against his opponent, when the combined on the opponent was like less than 10 million. So you see like the spending goes really heavy pro one candidate and also against whoever their opponent is, and it, like the odds get stacked really egregiously against the person who has the less money or like less overall support from wealthy people. And Goldman is the heir to the Levi's fortune, and he cosplays a progressive, but he's a neoliberal at best.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone still considers him to really be an ally of what we're trying to accomplish. What would you
Because he
tweet?
was on the first Trump impeachment.
Oh, this means nothing. Like, there's a lot of people who just go, oh, this person doesn't like Trump, they're on our side. No, it doesn't take someone on the left not to like Trump. Trump is a very unlikable person from, I would say, most people, based off the things he says and the things that he does. But it seems like a lot of people, like folks, I see it in panels all the time. Someone will come up and they'll go, I did not vote for Trump. I do not like Trump. And then he goes, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Right on. Then he'll be like, but I think Nick, like it's crazy shit. Okay. So we gotta wait. We gotta wait. They gotta say. It depends on what they say after that. That matters. Okay. Is it a decent baseline to start? I guess yes, sure. But then the libertarians do it all the time. Oh, I don't like Trump. I'll never vote for Trump. Chase Oliver all day, every day, baby. I think he's fantastic. And I'm like, oh God, like stop it.
Listen, I am all for figuring out how we push ourselves further left. I'm all for figuring out how we liberate people. I'm also like, I don't want to do it at the risk and expense of so many people's lives. Like what we're seeing play out right now is insane. Like there was this, people forget there was already a ceasefire in Gaza, like, and it was broken in March, right? Like this, everything that has happened to accelerate what's going on in Gaza. All of
Thank
the
you,
things that
Nala.
happened to release a bunch of money into Russia, right? The dropping the largest ordinances that are non-atomic in Iran, like blowing boats out of the water coming out of Venezuela and Colombia. And then all of the ways that we're being terrorized here at home by ICE. Like none of that.
WSU to
Like
Nala.
as idealistic as I am about shoving us to the left, and as much as like I will continue to push for that liberation for people, like we can't, the amount of human life that's been traded at this point by not showing up is unconscionable.
Agreed. I saw that, Olive, that they indicted Letitia James. I think that's going to go about as far as it went for, what's her name, that they indicted, that they said that she had fraud in her estates. It's going to go nowhere because they have no proof. What's your name here? Landon. Age and state, please.
Hey, how you said Asian state? 28, South Carolina.
All right. And what is your question?
Are liberals generally against Christianity?
I'm going to say no. There's a lot of people who would argue yes. The reason why I'm going to say no, it's more so many liberals or people on the left have very strongly held beliefs of faith. However, typically we are against the institution of religion, just in regards to the sexual assault that takes place and is often masked and covered up by many pastors and preachers, so on and so forth. The controlling aspect, the either complete separation from politics or the word I'm looking for, the mixture of their religion and their politics in its worst possible interpretations. But no, I would argue absolutely not. The majority of people on the left are not necessarily against, they're not necessarily against you having a faith. They're not necessarily against God. Yes, I would say we're the side who has a lot more atheists and whatnot. But I grew up religious. I'm not religious anymore. However, I do believe in a God. I do just not believe in, I don't believe in the interpretations that we've gotten.
I respect that. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. You take it easy.
All right.
Reminder, Jesus was a commie.
Jesus absolutely was a commie. I can back that shit up. You guys know when I run my God doesn't fuck with Trump lives. I will say this. Oh, did I kick him too early? My fault, Landon. Hold on, he's loading up. My fault. Did you have another question?
Brother, I guess you said it's not a debate area. Can I comment on the Jesus commie
Sure.
thing? Jesus totally was a communist in the sense that he had everything to give of himself, but he did not tell anyone to give away what they had. It was all about what he could do for his fellow man, brother, sister, not what other people should do. That's why he's God, because he gave everything, his life, his deeds, actions. That man would lay down his life for you, and he did. And yeah.
So yes and no. While yes, he didn't go around necessarily telling people. Well, actually, I guess he did. He did, but I guess we can say it was more so like very strong suggestions. In some cases, specifically for faith-based people, as requirements. when he talked about giving what you have to the poor. There was not necessarily a quota or percentage or anything of that nature, but he heavily encouraged and made it clear that your time on this earth is to help other people too. And yes, he personally believed what he believed, and he would put that out into the world, and he would ask other people to do the same. So I guess I would say yes and no to that, to where you're right, but then you're also like not right, because it is something that Jesus expects of people who claim to be Christian.
He said that's what we should do, but he did not condemn or force anyone to do it. If someone wanted to give to the poor through Jesus, it would be out of their own free will, and it would be their choice, and ultimately, like, it would be up to them, the individual. Jesus's goal was to give that conviction of guilt and sin, and try so that it comes from a different place. That way, I feel like that's what I think.
I see what you're saying.
Book say, give up all your belongings and follow me, or something to that.
If you want to, you ain't got to.
Yeah,
but by all means.
He's essentially saying it was never like a force or a requirement, and that's, I feel like we're just gonna get into semantics at this point, where it was basically strongly encouraged. Jesus never picked up a rod and shield and made people do anything, if we're being technical.
Right.
So Jesus was a commie and encouraged everybody else to be a commie too.
He didn't force anyone. He didn't
Well,
tell anyone you had to or you're going to hell. He just simply said,
He promoted those ideals.
there's an example in the New Testament of a rich young ruler.
I'll interject and say this real quick. I think the point of contention where we seem to be having here is that you seem to be under belief that communism is forcing. It requires force,
Right.
which would not necessarily be the case. We may have alleged communist regimes out there in the world who are very much doing that, but that wouldn't be what communism is, or at least not a brand that Jesus would have advocated for. But go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
You're fine. So, with the rich young ruler, he came up to Jesus and asked, Lord, what can I do to inherit eternal life? Jesus said, have you kept all the commands? He said, yes. And Jesus said, well, if you want to be perfect, did not tell him to do it. He said, give away all your stuff and follow me. Like I said, he said, if you want. He never told him to do it.
Well, that's not.
It just,
That wasn't.
He
his
literally
words,
said, if you want.
to be fair, but I know the scripture that you're referencing. So again, you seem to be viewing this from the lens of communism is a mandate, a requirement for you to do things, and Jesus just more so made strong suggestions. There's an argument I can make is that Jesus very much made orders. It's just no one was responsible for actually following his orders. But no, very much like when Jesus would talk to someone, he would say, "Pick up your cross, come and follow me." That's not an order. That's not a force, but he's opening the doorway for you to do it, and that's how he operated with anything else.
There's
A government instituted communism is literally the government forcing people to do it.
it's mainly circled around means of production, right?
But it's
like,
still
hold
the
on,
government
so-
putting a gun to your
so
head and
not-
saying, do it.
No,
That's
hold on.
not what Jesus did. He said, if you want to, I'm going to go fucking die on a cross for you. But
Okay.
so,
But
sorry.
there's the degrees of communism vary, yeah? And Jesus actually asked for more than what you might see if you saw communism take over, because that is more about the means of production and the means in which, like, there's wealth exploitation, like there's exploitation.
Would there be
that
a
happens?
penalty for not following communism?
Sorry?
Would there be a penalty with not following the communist government?
You just wouldn't be able to, like, create a privatized, you would have to
Well,
go somewhere
and
else
if
if
you
you wanted
did
to create
create a
privatized
private-
business.
If you did create a privatized business in a government, in a communist government,
It wouldn't. It would be functioning outside of the law and would be closed down.
right?
The same way that a monopoly, the same way that a monopoly would be closed down by our government today.
Right. To tell me what part of that did Jesus try to close down businesses? Because
Jesus tried to do more than that. Jesus said to give to everybody. Jesus said, "Give up all of your possessions."
Did he ever put a
Jessica.
gun to someone's head and tell him to do it?
So hold on. That's neither does the government. So let's go back to a couple of things here.
No,
If we're talking about
the government
if we're
will
talking
literally
about
punish you if you
well, that's not a
Jesus
gun to our head.
doesn't punish
So if we're
anyone.
talking about government mandates on any type of policy or administration, we already have several of those, right? So there's already an argument. This is what a lot of people don't seem to understand. We already live to some degree, it's very light, but to some degree, a socialist
Yeah.
country, right? If we're talking about where our taxpayer dollars go towards paying government workers, towards fixing our roads, towards firefighters, so on and so forth. We're already in an environment where our taxes goes towards this, and it's government mandated. Companies can only do so much before the government gets involved and stops them. So that's already force. That force, though,
But you're-
is for the betterment of all people. In fact, I would argue in some cases it needs to be a bit stricter, such as federal price gouging laws, right? So we already have that, and that would be decided on in a government that would choose it, right? It's not a bunch of blue-haired lefties overthrowing the government and then saying, this is what you're going to do, otherwise we're going to take you out. So I think that's where we're having this disconnect here. You seem to be viewing it from a
Your
lens
argument-
of hold on. You seem to be viewing it from a lens of it's going to be an authoritarian communist regime instead of, if communism was to ever be implemented here in the States, it would be from one of two ways. We would vote for it, or people would make it that way, in which case it would be authoritarian.
You could say Jesus was communist in the sense that he gave all of himself, but he would never force anyone to be communist.
Do you
He would
understand?
tell
By
them to
that
take all
logic,
your-
Jesus didn't even want governments. So like, I feel like the
How do you
equation
know?
that we're making here. Well, we can go back
He
to
said, "Pay to Caesar what Caesar is owed." He never
yes,
tried to.
very much. Jesus was big on respecting the government and the laws of the land that you're in, so long as they didn't violate God's laws, right? We can go all the way back to the Old Testament, where it speaks on the fact that it was the people who wanted a king. It was the people who wanted institutions. God didn't want it, but he gave the people what he wanted. Like the government as it sits today, if we're aligning this with Christianity, is not supposed to exist. It was never supposed to happen, right? It's just that that's what the people wanted,
Scripture.
and they set it up.
And then they weaponized and bastardized the religions to advance whatever political agenda they felt like.
The people that Jesus was perfect.
That's the point. Yeah.
But
And this is what
that
you're
being
missing. This
said-
is what you're missing. This is what you're missing. If we're talking about Jesus communism, as you say, right, which would be different from this negative view of other forms of communism, then there would be no need for forcing anyone to do anything. It would just be the norm. It would just be the standard. There wouldn't be debates about this is infringing on private rights or anything like that. Everyone would be cool with it and everyone would be taken care of. And that's the disconnect. So when you're viewing communism from a lens of like it's going to be this bad thing and people are going to be forced and guns to head, then you're not actually talking about what communism is and should be. You're more so talking about how people have bastardized it. Does that make sense? And to be clear, I'm not a communist.
I'm still. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Rolly, for the 1 second. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Rolly, for the super fan subscription. I appreciate you. I don't know why y'all keep doing it. It costs too damn much. But W's to you, Rolly. Can we get some W's to Rolly in the chat? Y'all, some W's to Rolly in the chat. I appreciate your support. Guys, we have switched over subscriptions to Discord servers. You're more than welcome to keep that one if you do. For those of you on my Discord, that's where we've moved them to. Great way to support the platform. Carry on, Landon, I think.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, and then
I was just saying I really disagree that Jesus would support government instituted communism. To be honest, I think that
again, by that
hell-
logic, Jesus is not even for the government necessarily. So you see, the disconnect is you're mixing like what Jesus would actually want, or utopia, or an Eden, with the man-made establishments that we have today. They're two different things.
My view of Jesus is that there could be raining asteroids and people killing each other on the street. He'd go out trying to help people. The government was no concern to him.
What?
Like, doesn't matter what you see around you. Jesus just had one track goal of going around making the world a better place.
Well, I'm so confused.
What's happening?
The dude tried to give his life to make the world a better place, and because of what we do to the
What
planet.
were
Sorry.
the ways he thought to make it better, though? Like, what was the modality?
Washing people's feet, trying to help people, just preaching love and yeah, he, literally being sinless. Hold on.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Do you think Jesus is a capitalist? What happened? He teacupped. I'm not sure if we should even prolong this. I feel like we're kind of going back in circles at this point.
Sorry. Thanks for listening. It was a respectful conversation. I'll head out.
Yeah, you have a good one.
Peace.
I don't know what that was. I just feel like we just kept going back to the same. Okay. Please understand, guys. In a perfect world, we wouldn't be having debates of either system versus each other. In a perfect world, there would be no government, no need for a government. In a perfect world, everyone would technically control the means of production. Everyone would have the means to take care of themselves. We'd all be sharing, which would technically be communism. So when he's talking about gun to your head and forcing on all these different things, one, you would be completely disregarding the fact that that's how our government already works, just limited. And two, that would be more so a form of communism that communists don't want, unless you're, I guess, a piece of crap. Anyway, I have an actual communist up here. Kit, what's up?
Wow, I see how it is. No, I came up here because you said blue head.
Are you not an actual communist?
I mean, in my perfect reality, yes, but I more implement socialist policies because I feel they're more practical. So it's complicated.
You're a
Unscripted is a communist
pragmatic communist, okay?
All right, I'll go with that. Yeah. No, I was just confused. I know, baby. I was just confused because he was literally saying, like, trying to argue that Jesus didn't want these things. But this is my question. Obviously, I'm a whole pagan up here, but, like, isn't the whole point of being a Christian to be like Christ?
That's by definition, yes, to be Christ-like.
That last thing he said was like, live without sin. And I wanted to be like, what counts as sin? Because I bet you it's all a bunch of propaganda that you have against people instead of, which is actually sinning.
We were going to get into all of that. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Natalia, for the Dolphins. I appreciate y'all. But yeah, anyway, this isn't
Like
yeah, go ahead.
just like the word live without sin created so much Jesus sponsored hate that it's like you're telling me the man who told you to love everybody is co-signing your hatred right now. That's wild.
Jesus sponsored.
But I just got some not great news, so you should drop me because I'm not good right now. But thank you.
Okay, you know where the text. Appreciate you coming up. All right, let me let Nikita up here and let them say their piece. But yeah, we're not going to make this a commie conversation. I don't care. Hello, what's up?
As soon as I heard the talk about communism, I was like, okay, I'm streaming the other app on my server because we were having a conversation in one of my discussion channels.
Thank you.
But so they're listening right now. But yeah, as soon as I heard communism, I was like, I have been summoned. And Martina, I am so appropriating Jesus-sponsored hate. I love that.
Jesus-sponsored hate.
Yeah. But we cannot ignore
Kimmy.
the fact that Jesus, if he did exist his time on earth, he was a political radical. He was a political figure. And the church is a political organization. And right now, what is happening in the States is that the church is working to further the goals of white supremacy. And that is anti-Christian. That is not Christ-like at all. Because Jesus was a brown refugee who was unalived by the state.
Very
He
much
was
so.
a political figure. Yeah.
And that's why they tried to compare him to Kirk. We'll leave that one alone. I
If there's
appreciate.
any political figure right now who can be compared to Jesus, it's that 33-year-old brown man who's running for mayor in New York, who preaches fair housing and food and transport and all of those things for everyone. Maybe that's why they're trying to crucify him.
She's not. They're not wrong. They're not wrong.
There's
They're
a lot
not
of
wrong.
There was a really viral tweet that likened Zoran to Jesus. People went wild for it.
I need to see this.
Please share the goodies in the live chat on the Discord. But I appreciate you coming up, Nikita. Thank you very much. Alrighty,
The
guys.
next time-
Shit, sorry. 101 people in the live. We're not even at 50k likes yet. What are we doing? Guys, show the algorithm that you want to be here. Show the algorithm that you want to be here. Super tap that screen. Do all the good things. Make sure you're sending your daily heart means and claiming everything on the way down. Consider becoming a member. Like I said, I'm not necessarily pushing TikTok subscriptions anymore, but while it's there, feel free to if you want to. Although great ways to support the platform are the links available in the bio. Whether you want to send me a tip, whether you want to follow my other social media platforms, subscriptions, all those good things, all available in the link in the bio. But in any case, this is the time for you to ask questions if you have anything about what we've already discussed or anything about things regarding your state, things regarding the federal level, candidates you think we should vote for, candidates you think we shouldn't. This is your opportunity to speak to, I guess, a liberal and a lefty about it, since they're different now. And you may ask those questions today. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. If you have a question, I'm looking to speak to you today. So no, this live is not specifically for MAGA. With that being said, what did I want to go over? There's a piece of news that I saw. So we already know about Letitia James and that indictment, which, to be fair, we should have seen coming. It was all a matter of getting the right people in so that he can go after the people that he wants. We're still waiting on proof from the Trump administration about John Bolton. The last I saw after the raid is that they allegedly did find documents that were illegal that he shouldn't have had. We do not know what those documents are. Obviously, they wouldn't fully tell us, but still waiting to hear more from that case. Then we have James Comey, Letitia James, and we can only expect so much more. The part that gets me about all these prosecutions and all these attacks is we're the big guys that we keep talking about. Why wasn't Obama first? Why wasn't Hillary first? Why wasn't Kamala Harris first? Why wasn't Joe Biden first? All these big enemies and people you painted to be the enemy within are untouched, seemingly. And I find that interesting. The other people he's going after is almost as if he knows he has nothing on the people that he demonizes on a daily basis. Hold on, I'm getting a call in here. It's not registering. Why does it do this? It's always the second time that it has to come in for the call to register. Give me a second. Caller.
Well, Hector's figuring out how to push buttons. Make sure that you're sharing over here on the TT side, y'all.
Yes. Do all the good things. I'm literally seeing the call, but it's not pulling up on voice. Let me try refreshing this and getting it to work. Caller, go ahead and give me a call back. I'm not sure what happened the first time. It was the same issue with last night. Go ahead and give me a call back and I got you. Because there's literally no way for me to answer it right now. It's not even pulling up. The way I have this whole thing set up, I know I got the call because when you set up Google Voice, it comes through your actual number. Obviously, it doesn't show the other person your actual number, but that's how it registers your calls, and then it'll push through Google Voice. So my phone is showing that I have a call, but Google Voice's call didn't go through. So caller, give me a call back. If you're still here, give me a call back and we should be able to get you in. Hold on, let's see what's happening here.
Speaking of callers, have you got your watch hours up?
So what I posted today, we're about at 2,500. And the cool thing about it, the annoying thing and the cool thing about it is that it is 4 or 5 days behind. So whatever I posted today is literally from the 4th or the 5th. I don't know why it's like that, but every single day when I check it, it's only showing the previous hours that we've had. So we probably already passed it, but I'm still asking people to consistently watch until we hit 3,000. And then that way we know for sure, and that will open us up to monetization on the Tube side. Again, caller on the Tube side, just go ahead and give another call, and we should be able to get you in this time around. So we're almost there. We're almost there. You guys have been a great help to that, and I hope the playlist helped as well, because now you can just go straight through everything.
You hear that, chat? If you have a random other device, I'm just saying, it could also be on the Tube socks.
Is that what we're
And
calling
just,
it now?
you
Tube
could have
socks?
double the hector, double the fun.
I don't know if some people like this. Thank you for the Dolphins. I appreciate y'all. We just have 43 more of those to go. I'm going to keep this going, guys. I am not in a contentious mood tonight. So the goal tonight is to have some conversations. And depending on how well this goes, I want to have more of these. I truly just want to get back to just actually talking to people, because we'll always have our debates. And I'm basically always going to have Saturdays lives as debates. But the rest of the week, let's chill. I've had a long last couple of days.
God bless you.
Thank you very much, Cindy, for the Dolphins. I appreciate you. What's going on, Emma? What's your name here? Herb. Age and state, please.
Yes, I'm 72, and I'm in Texas. I'm in Texas. What else do you need to know? Is that it? I guess.
I'm going to
And I'm not
compliment
a
you.
Trump
You don't look
supporter.
72 from your profile picture. You don't look 72 at all.
Well, thank you
look
very
a good
much.
bit younger.
Thank you very much.
In fact, I don't believe you. Where's your birth certificate?
I do have one. Actually, I turned 72 in December, so it's around the corner.
Just about there.
But
Gotcha.
anyway,
Yes. What is your
I wanted
question?
to ask you. Okay. I know you didn't want to talk about it, but I would like to go back to a statement that we're talking about communism,
Sure.
and I don't care to talk about it in relationship to Jesus. I just want to talk about it. I'm trying to understand. I know that in our country, that capitalism has been tremendous in a lot of ways, but now because it has no governor on it, there's no regulations. It's just a pariah. I understand that. But you had mentioned that communism in a perfect world would be, which is something that we can't really achieve, I think. But at the same time, I guess my question is that are there any examples of communist states that don't involve some form of capitalism? It seems like all the ones that are running now have some form of capitalism to make them work. Before, such as the Soviet Union, it did not work because because of all the corruption and the nature of human beings. So I'm just curious, as there are proponents on here about communism, exactly what kind of communism are you folks talking about? Your younger folks are talking about this, and I'm always curious.
I think Martina would be a lot better equipped to answer this question than me, but I'll just give from my perspective and my little due diligence. I would say for the most part, the only time we've really seen communism be successful is on smaller scales when it comes to individual tribes and communities. I think once we get a little bit bigger, money and power and white supremacy tend to heavily get involved in that, in which case is it even communism at that point, right? It becomes authoritarian. So Martina, I'm sure you have some opinions on this.
Yeah. So the indigenous peoples had communist structures, right? And they were self-sustaining, communal. They were very in tune with land and resources. They did not have this tendency to exploit and seek endless growth, but instead find harmony within each other and stasis with their environments. And so, I think a lot of what we see when we're seeing this push toward communism, and like no system is perfect. What you see in the Soviet Union was authoritarianism. It wasn't like true in the sense of communism as a form of liberating people from oppressive structures, which is ultimately what leftists are primarily talking about, is liberation from oppressive structures and exploitation. And that means
Okay.
liberating people and also liberating and protecting the planet, because the younger you are, the more acutely aware you are that the climate crisis is going to impact you, and you're like definitely impact your kids, and definitely impact your grandkids, and we can't recover that. And I think especially the late stage of capitalism we're in now in the US, like the wealthiest people are concentrating so much wealth. It's basically feudalism.
Thank you, Crow.
Your wealthy boss probably has stakes in the same company or investment company that also owns the house or apartment that you rent, and you're paying off some debt to a creditor, whether it's credit cards or student loans or your car payment or something else. So you're just stuck in a debt cycle, and you're working. Everybody I know works more than 40 hours a week. So it's a really draining, really broken cycle of exploitation. And that's before you get into the other systems of oppression that have always kept down marginalized communities.
Okay.
Now the phone's ringing. Hello?
Testing something.
Is
We're good.
okay. Let me. Would social democracy be a better way to go? Similar to what like France may have, or Germany maybe, or even Canada, where you do have some. You have a contract with the people to take care of the needs of all individuals within that society or within that state.
It would be much closer in
So-
reach.
Here's the thing, right? It's closer. It's a step toward the left. But so here's the thing: until you give all people access to, to liberate people in a capitalist structure, you would have to give everyone a universal basic income that meets all of their human needs, every last one of them, so that any employer couldn't extort or exploit labor from people. That like any labor that people are doing, employers are forced to do it in a way that is truly humane and truly like a contract amongst equals. Because right now, many people live paycheck to paycheck. They're treated like garbage at work. Their conditions are not great. They wouldn't put
Right.
up with it, except for they wouldn't be able to afford to live, so they keep letting it happen, right? Or they do things that they wouldn't necessarily do or feel moral about. But if they don't do them or participate in this structure, like most people who work in tech don't want to wind up causing a bunch of people to lose their jobs. But right now, if you're not focused on automation, AI, and making headcount redundant in tech, you're going to be on a chopping block. And so like there are these pressures constantly for people to do things that they would not do naturally, and to allow them to be exploited and to participate in exploitation because they're trying to survive. And so you have to break that. That's the goal, right, when we're talking about liberation.
All right. Are we talking about employee-owned companies, or are you not even comfortable with that? In other words, it's not owned by
Thank you,
the
Mark.
stockholders that own, more than 50% and are super rich, but it's owned by the actual employees that work there, as well as the person that put it together, I guess.
Can the employee walk away tomorrow and not have to worry about whether or not they can live, and their children can live, by the way, and anybody else is dependent on them?
No, but I don't know of any society that could ever make that kind of promise that we're just going to let. There's never been anything that's been successful about what you're talking about.
The indigenous peoples were successful people.
Yes.
They were successful. They did not seek
Thank you,
endless
Jeanette.
growth, right? And so like this is the other problem with capitalism is it's self-destructive. It can't grow exponentially. There's only so many resources on the planet, and people can only tolerate so much.
Real quick, guys, real quick. If you guys can, if I can get one of my moderators and whatnot to call into the line to make sure it's working, because I'm not sure if it is. So if I can get someone to call in so we can test this out, I would greatly appreciate it. All right, y'all carry on.
Of course, you know, as you said earlier with indigenous people, that's a smaller group. That's a tribe, essentially. Seeing that on a scale as big as the United States or really any country, I don't know how you could do that, except if AI gets to the point which they are predicting that it's going to and already is replacing jobs. I certainly believe that the jobs it's replacing, that those people should receive an income for some period of time. I don't know how long, but you know, where it would be generous to help them find something else.
There it is.
Call from Queen.
Hi, Queen. Hold, please. I think you guys heard the call. So, Queen, if you can say something real quick so we can confirm if they can hear us, that would be greatly appreciated.
Oklahoma sucks.
All right, guys. Did you guys just hear what Queen just said? If you did, say it in the chat, and that will be our confirmation that we're good. Tube side, say what Queen just said in the chat. Yep. 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 Perfect. Thank you so much, Queen, for calling in. Queen is always over on the tube side, taking care of us, making sure no maggots are over there, which for the most part we don't have to worry about. It's always the TikTok side. W's the Queen in the chat, y'all. W's the Queen in the chat. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
W Queen. Herb, this concept that the indigenous peoples of the Americas couldn't scale to the size of America is kind of crazy because they did.
Well, yeah, they were, but they were warring with
land.
each other. They were warring with each other. It wasn't a perfect world. Yes, the entire, what we call the nation, was different tribes, but they fought with each other a great deal of the time.
Hi, Crow.
So I don't think it was exactly a perfect example, except that
I want to address this as an indigenous person.
Let him
Indigenous
finish.
history.
No,
please do.
Let him finish the sentence. Then go ahead, Crow.
Oh well, I've already finished what I was saying.
Just make sure. Go ahead, Crow.
So we did have intertribal squabbles. We did have intertribal beefs and fights. The difference is the resolution and the purpose. We did have fights over resources. That's just a thing. Hunting grounds that were crossed and whatnot. But we were never a conquering people. We were an assimilating people. There's a very important difference here. And I say this because I come from a tribe that is an entirely assimilated tribe. The Blackfoot Confederacy. The reason it's the Confederacy is because we're made up of smaller tribes that banded together to make a larger one. We are our native lands is Montana, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. It's why we're under the J Treaty. Like I could just be in Canada tomorrow if I want to, and Border Patrol can't say shit to me. It's delightful. But a lot of this has to do with how tribes settled disputes. We would get into a fucking scrap, and then we would calm down, and then we'd be like, hey, all right, so here's the deal. We're either gonna like negotiate that we both remain two independent tribes, but we're gonna draw some lines in the sand and say, hey, this is our area, this is your area. Or we're going to become a larger tribe and be better for it. And this is the difference. Like that's what Martine is talking about. We were doing the system well until the Europeans showed up. So like we didn't even fail at communism. Much like the global South, we were fine until some other people showed up.
Okay.
Want to add on to
I
that?
don't doubt that the Europeans did what they did, obviously I'm a European that got here hundreds of years ago, but Well, it's something for me to think about. I don't fully understand yet, uh, nor am I convinced that that would necessarily work. Uh,
What's up, Flame?
but I'm open to, suggestions. I know we're gonna. I mean, there's gonna be.
This is, if I can
Go ahead.
recommend one book to you, Herb, there's one book that I recommend to everybody, and Ash is already there with me. One of my favorite books on like this country as a whole. It's been like one of the best educational standards since the 70s when the first edition comes out there. Even though Howard Zinn is no longer with us, it still gets updated by like his students. It's called A People's History of the United States. It's like one of the
I have
most
read
critical.
most of it. I have read.
Yeah,
most.
it's one of the best, most critical histories of this country.
Yes. No, I don't doubt the horrible things that we did to this country and also to, Central America and South America. I have no doubt. And I guess the chickens are, have come home to roost, as they say, or something. I just don't know what is going to happen, in these. I feel like we're about to have another revolution of some sort, but I don't know what that's going to be. It may be in my lifetime, it may not be. But, I mean, I just would have to think about this. I don't have enough information to intelligently talk about it, I don't think.
Martina has their hand up.
I know.
Go ahead, Martina.
Yeah. So, Herb, I'd encourage you to try to understand that we grew up, that like we were propagandized growing up too. So if you
Right.
take a big step back and understand that where you grew up is capitalist and westernized, and understand that you've been propagandized to believe that those are the right things and that all other things are the wrong things, and really question where you have a bias. Because capitalism is a destructive force. It seeks endless growth, which is impossible. Right?
But
There are
I still,
constraints to the world.
but would you not? I mean, I don't think that it's so destructive that if you put regulation or what I call governors on it, that it functions more like a society that we would see in Europe, for instance, and still
Europe
working toward the
colonized.
perfect union. And that's what I'm trying to say.
I would argue, and then I'll let Crow go. I would argue that would slow the process down depending on the degree of regulation that we would put on it ultimately. But at some point, there would be a point, right? But yeah, I would agree with you. I think it would slow things down drastically. And then from there, we can get to a system that it can be, we'll say, renewable. But ultimately, I think in the United States, there's, hell, you talk about raising the corporate tax rate to 28%, such as in the last election on the Democratic side, and then everyone lost their minds. But Crow, you had a thing to say, and then Herb or Martina.
Yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with my wife after this, as it is. I really came up to address the indigenous thing because, like, my people, I get all weird when people say penis, like we were just born with each other constantly. I get that wasn't your intent. I just always like to clear it up. But to give you a scope as the kind of
See, I
environment we're
literally
living
just
in,
fixed it,
I
and
work
now
for-
it's not showing the call. God.
I work for Health and Human Services. I actually administer social programs like SNAP and TANF and Medicaid and all that stuff.
Okay.
Just to paint a picture of just this week, because we right now we're on a nice rotation, 4 weeks home, 2 weeks in office. Right now I'm on customer service while I'm in the office. So I'm like I'm facing the clients, like sitting across the desk from them. Tuesday was a heavy day for me. 8 of the people that came into the lobby that I met with, that's not even counting anybody my coworkers met with, were homeless, which is already upsetting enough. Where it gets really upsetting and paints a very dark picture of where we're at right now is that 3 of them were working full-time jobs, and they weren't making enough, and those full-time jobs weren't paying enough for them to not be homeless, but they were paying them too much to get assistance. So they couldn't qualify for housing assistance. They couldn't qualify for Medicaid. They couldn't qualify for SNAP, but they also couldn't afford to get off the street. And that's where we find ourselves now, is that I'm finding more and more clients like that, where they don't make enough to survive, but they make too much to get help.
Yes, that is truly sad. that is truly, truly wrong. I agree.
Caller, call
And
back
that's never a
again if you're
position
still here.
That's never a position that if we want to consider ourselves the greatest country on earth, we want to be the American exceptionalist to be like, we are Billy Badass of the world. We should never find ourselves in that position where I have people like that sitting across from me working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, can't afford an apartment, but also can't get help to get that apartment. That is flatly unacceptable, because those are people doing the so-called right thing, the thing you're supposed to be doing, and it's still not working out.
That's right. We have not increased wages in decades,
Thank you, far from
percentage
normal.
wise. So, yeah, it's very bad, and I agree. It needs to change.
6,000%. Martina, do you have anything else?
Yeah, I just would say if your reading's in, it's also important that we have not stopped our colonizer behavior at all, and neither has Europe. Like the exploitation happens in the global south. If you look, Congo as an example,
W Crow, y'all. W
horrific
Crow.
crimes are happening in Congo in order to get cobalt for our lithium-ion batteries. Oh,
Hold, y'all.
hello, Mike.
1
To
second.
accept, press 1.
Michael, welcome to the stream. Age and state, please.
Age and state,
Yes.
55, South Dakota.
55, South Dakota. Gotcha. What is your question?
So you said I am a liberal. Ask a question. What is a liberal?
Liberal would be someone who wants progressive policies, who thinks we can use our society for betterment of all. Essentially, we're about the democratic process, not to necessarily be confused with an establishment Democrat. But, yeah, basically progressives, which, again, there's some people would argue with me, but at least it's the start of it.
Okay, so a liberal is a progressive.
Correct. Or I should more so say, when I call myself a liberal, I'm saying I'm progressive.
Okay. Is there? I mean, do I get one question, or is
You
it
can-
multiple questions?
You can ask as
or
many as you like.
a conversation. Okay, so do you believe in the party switch
The party
that
switch.
we were taught? That we were taught when I was in high school.
Um,
That somehow the party switched.
I would say it's more so, it's often framed as a party switch, yeah, loosely, but it's more so an ideology switch. Yes, absolutely.
What's the ideology that switched?
The Republicans of the past more so became many of the Democrats that we have today. When it comes to the Dixiecrats, who are often pointed at and responsible for upholding slavery and so on and so forth, the Dixiecrats did break off from the Democrats, and many of them we saw go fight in the Confederacy as the Democratic Party started to do some rebranding and Republicans started to be more pro-traditional values, pro-capitalism, lower taxes, so on and so forth.
That's not how it was explained to me when I was younger.
How was it explained to you?
It was explained to me that they are now who we were, and who the Democrats were in the 1860s and 50s, and when the party started, were slave owners that, lynched people and hurt people, and then for 100 years segregated people. So it was explained to me that now they are who we were. That was my complete understanding of it, and basically I was stupid, and it was easy to believe. It was easier to say, oh, well, they're rich and we're poor, and they're the slave type owners. Like it was meant to brand somebody, as it is today, to call people Nazis and fascists, and when you call, or not you personally, but when somebody calls somebody a Nazi or a fascist, that gives anybody the kind of almost duty to say, I need to hurt that person because those people are worthy of being hurt. So it's setting up a social society where a mass group of people can be like, yeah, it's okay to hurt these people, even though there aren't no Nazis or even fascists, trying to rule anything in this country. But what it is, it's really a sick game.
So two things, real quick. First and foremost, I think that's a very dangerous, slippery slope to go down when we say someone who calls someone something is an invitation for other people to unalive them. Because by that logic, if we're to be fair here, we have Democrats and Republicans equally getting up on stages on a daily basis and basically inviting their base to go kill the other side, which is not what they do. In fact, we have many people specifically who make very direct words and claims. There's we have people like Brian Kilmeade on Fox News who went and said that we should go forcefully lethal injection people who are homeless, right? If we were to take that logic, that was a very direct, specific example of literally taking out people. And then we have the recent example with the Democrat in whatchamacallit who made text about his opponent or governor, I think in 2022 that just came out, where he said in text, if he had this much bullets for this much people, he would pew his governor or person every single time. It's a very slippery slope when we go down. Anytime we say this or that, we're just automatically going to see that as an invitation to take out people. So there's that. Second thing, you mentioned that we don't have Nazis and fascists trying to take over the country right now. And I guess for you to have that opinion, I'm very curious as if you realize what exactly fascism is, or the fact that there are very much Nazis going up and down the United States right now, and there are very much Nazis who voted particularly one way in this last election.
So if a Nazi voted, or somebody, a self-proclaimed Nazi, which is probably some idiot living in some trailer in Mississippi somewhere because he voted some way, I mean, he's not writing any policy, he's not doing anything. I mean, who cares? They're nothing. They're nobody. This is a political game that people, I think it sounds like you, I don't know you very well, but this is a game that's being played on all of us to divide us, to create hate. And when somebody calls somebody a Nazi, you're damn right they want somebody to punch that Nazi. There was a freaking game in this country called Punch a Nazi. There's thousands of videos of it.
Do you have an issue with that game?
Each other. What's that?
Do you have an issue with that game?
I have an issue with somebody just walking up to somebody and punching him in the face because
you said specifically. No. You said specifically the game was Punch a Nazi, where Nazis got punched. So that's why I'm asking, do you have an issue with that game?
No, there weren't Nazis getting punched. There were just people that were on the street getting punched. There was nobody with a swastika on their chest, on a tattoo.
So we just started punching people for no reason?
Yes, anybody that they considered was a Nazi, which means anybody that they considered on the other side of their political views. That's all it is.
I think that's a gross misinterpretation of where Punch a Nazi came from, especially after what took place in Germany. So, okay. Let me give you an example.
Videos of it.
Sure. Listen, I'm not here to condone anyone on the left who just walks up to someone who voted for Trump and punching them and calling them a Nazi. I do not approve of that. However, let's bring an example. Steve Bannon. So I'm sure you're aware of the Elon Musk debacle where he did the hand signal and that shit looked like a salute, and then he said it wasn't and people said it did, right? I'm not here to argue whether it was or was not. What I find hysterical is that after Elon Musk did this and after he defended it and made his jokes and excuses and whatnot, there were many people in the Republican Party specifically who aligned themselves with certain policies who started doing it as a joke. Steve Bannon, for one, went out on the stage twice now and just straight up did it. Not the Elon hands out to you. He did the actual salute. So when we have this conversation about people who are allegedly not Nazis or Republicans are just getting harmed or punched or whatnot for no reason, there are people who take the salute and they do it proudly and openly. And then what are we supposed to do? Just take that as a joke, a passing thing?
I take it as you got
Yeah.
trolled, and you're so emotionally fucking weak that it's oh my god, there's Nazis. It's
I think that's a
troll.
There
very
are Nazis.
they can't hear you,
it's
guess. But
stupid. I don't think
okay, so
I never even saw what you were talking about because I really don't give a shit about anything like
got
that.
you, and that's
because
specifically why I didn't talk much about Elon doing it. But I'm saying people in the Republican Party just
Right.
started straight up doing the Nazi salute afterwards.
right. I saw
crazy.
Democrats doing that same thing, touching their heart and putting their hand out. I can send you the videos. They were all over
Again,
the
that's
place,
vastly
man.
different from
I
the
don't think-
Nazi salute or the similarities that Elon's gesture had with the salute. I'm aware of the videos you're
It was
talking
a-
about. I've watched all the
Exactly.
compilations. They've done Kamala Harris, they've done
Right.
Hillary Clinton, they've done Barack Obama, and they did what's their name? I've watched all those videos in great detail. Vastly different from where
Right.
it started and how it finished. And if you're just
And
talking about a
anybody on the right
screenshot
that
of
looks
anyone who
bad-
has their arm out, perfectly positioned, taking the screenshot, perfectly positioned in the way that looks like a Nazi salute, that's intentional. And that's intentionally misleading that
Yeah.
people did that.
But listen, there are no Nazis. They're all dead.
No,
They're
that's
all
not
gone.
true.
And if you do find them, like remember they
No.
found that one Nazi guy in Canada that the Canadian government was honoring, like they're gone. There's none around. Nobody's trying
You
to
do
turn
understand,
this place into Nazi.
there was a guy who was recently, he
Are
showed
you
up on
kidding me?
Jubilee. He recently showed up on Jubilee and proudly professed that he's a Yahtzee, and then he went and lost his job and is suffering the consequences of that, right? So while you're here denying the fact that they exist, there are people who openly on the internet, or better yet, in spaces, are saying they're writing threatening letters to Jewish people in the United States, proudly proclaiming to be Yahtzees, writing manifestos. Some of our school pew-pewers very much were Nazis or Nazi sympathizers and wrote in their manifestos that they're doing this. So you're denying something that is widely known as true. There are Nazis in the United States. Because they don't manifest in the
I'm
way
not
that we're
denying
looking at in the back in Germany, you're denying their existence, but they do exist. There are people who proudly profess Nazi ideology.
Well, those people are crazy, and we all know that.
Exactly.
That they're lunatics. That they're psycho lunatics.
So when
The
anyone
problem
has
is
similarities to
people
a
like you are
Yahtzee,
trying
don't
to
you think that's
associate them with
concerning?
politicians. People like you are trying to associate them with people that are running our government. That's the political game that's being played, and I understand it. Like you want your side to win, and probably want Marxism or socialism or whatever the hell it is that people want. But ultimately, man, it's not really happening. Like people try to say that school shooters are right wing. 17-year-old, 18-year-old school shooters are right wing.
So I
know
recently just
people
made
are-
I made a video
and
actually on
raising
several
kids
shooters
and
who
working
very
their
much
job.
were right wing. My guy, they wrote entire manifestos about it. They talked about following the likes of Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk. And I'm not saying they specifically were Yahtzees. I'm saying right wing ideology is associated, far right wing ideology is associated with Nazism,
Name
right?
one. Name one.
Name one what?
One of these people that you're talking about that wrote these manifestos.
The
'cause
pew-pewers?
last, like 6 manifestos I've seen.
We have the Buffalo, New
from
York
crazy
shooter.
trans-
We have the Buffalo, New York shooter for one. That was 2021. He went into a black neighborhood and shot up the black grocery store. We have Allen, something Allen in Texas. It was here in Texas, Dallas, Texas region, I believe, and that was 2023. Elon Musk went up on television and said that he wasn't a Nazi, even though the reports came out that he was, and he actually had a swastika tattooed on him. We have what's that one? Black kid in Nashville. Black kid in Nashville, Tennessee, talked about hating his skin color, and being a degenerate and all these different things. And he very much aligned himself with Nazi right wing ideology. So I don't know if you think you're talking to someone who doesn't know these things or doesn't research these events, but I very much have.
Right-wing ideology. Wait a minute. This is the crazy shit that people are doing. You're talking about right-wing ideology. Fucking
Far right-wing
Hitler was
ideology,
a
yes.
goddamn socialist. Hitler was a socialist.
What made
a
Hitler a
national
socialist? I know.
That was the party of the National Socialists.
Yes.
Okay?
So you,
Like,
you
you
do
know
understand
anything
that there
about
was
party-
that by name, correct? It was that by name, but they were
Yeah,
not
and
in any way,
Democrats-
shape, or form
Democrats by name.
socialist. 'Cause if you what is a socialist?
that society ran under socialism.
What is a socialist?
Well, the state controls the fucking production of means.
That's
That
not
society ran a
socialist.
socialist state.
That's not the definition
it
of
was.
socialism.
Yes, it is. They will control the production of means. Everything is. It's not controlled by the people. That's not socialism.
Controlling the means of production by the people would be communist. It would be a stateless, classless, moneyless society. Socialism would
They're
be
all
more so
equal.
people having
Read
more
me.
say, and the ultimate goal being the betterment or uplifting of people with aid from the government, which we know was not the case. Otherwise, a socialist government wouldn't try to unalive 6 million people because of their eye color or their faith. Not
It
eye
wasn't
color.
6 million people. It's 6 million Jews, and all I see is the left
I
hating
know who
on
it
Jews these
was.
days.
I know who it was. I'm
How-
not saying the words
Not
for
a bunch of
reasons.
Nazis walking around down
They
with
can't
the,
hear you, Martina. The
Palestinian
calls, no one can hear you.
protests.
I just
So
he
I
just
want to
said
ask
that
you again,
Jewish
because
people aren't
you've been
equal.
using a bunch of words. So I wanted to ask you, do you know what one of the tenets of fascism is? There's 14, right? What are one of the tenets? Because you seem to have an issue
You
with
go
the
ahead.
left calling
You can go ahead
people
and tell me,
Nazis
man,
and
because I don't
fascists.
live in a fascist society, so I don't worry about fascism. It's not occurring. Nobody in our government is a fascist.
You do realize that you're
No-
proving my
nothing
point
like
with every
that.
word you say, right?
No, I don't.
Got you. Let me help you out. One of the tenets of fascism was the aggressive suppression of speech, right? Which is protected under our First Amendment, right? Speaking out against the government.
Well, I lived under
Correct?
fascism for 4 years with Joe Biden. Then, if you're saying that,
Sure.
because
Got
every
you.
time
So,
I
like I said, one of the tenets of fascism is the aggressive suppression of free speech, right? You have to think one way, you have to believe one way, you don't get to speak out against your government. Correct? That would be fascism, correct?
it'd be one of the tenets.
One of the tenets, correct, because there's 14. I just gave you
Right.
one. So that is one of the tenets of fascism. So when the president of the United States comes out and he says, I took away your freedom of speech, would that not be fascist leaning?
Did he take away my freedom of speech?
I'm telling you what the president said. Would that be fascist leaning, yes or no?
If he took away mine, probably, yeah.
It's
If he-
anyone's.
if he
It's not
said, yeah, you
specific to
can't-
you. It's anyone.
Oh, so it can just be somebody else and not everybody. Is that what you're saying? It can be one particular person, and if it's everybody else still has it, then it's still fascism. If that one person gets it taken away, that's what you're saying.
Well, it'll be threatening it, but no, it's not just one person that he was specifically speaking to. You're aware of, are you aware of the quote? Got you. All right.
I'm aware.
So-
I'm aware of it, but I don't think it means the same thing to me as it does.
So
to
you are aware of the quote.
That's
Great,
for
you. So great. Am I misconstruing what he said? Or did he say it?
Yeah, you're definitely leading. You're definitely.
I'm not leading
the
anything. Did I
situation.
misconstrue what he said?
You're trying to proclaim that freedom of speech is going to be taken away by a fascist.
I'm saying
That's what
freedom
you're
of
trying
speech
to
is very much under threat by Donald Trump. Yes.
under threat. It's always
And we have
under
two
threat.
examples I can think of off
Yeah.
the top of my head within the last 2 to 3 weeks, with this last one I just gave you being the most recent. So the president of the United States passed an executive order against the Constitution of the United States because the Supreme Court decided, and I forgot the name of the court case. Martina probably knows it. Back in the 80s, in regards to freedom of expression, is burning of the American flag, right? So long as you're not burning someone else's property, because then you're infringing on their rights and their property. And Donald Trump said, I don't like that, and passed an executive order, which isn't law, then to prosecute people for at least up to a year for the burning of the American flag. It's executive order, so you can't really enforce it, but he very much tried. And then he bragged about it recently and taking away their freedom of speech. Those weren't my words. Those were Donald Trump's himself.
Okay, burning the American flag where? Because I believe you can burn the American flag, but you better do it at your house on your property. You don't have the right to.
That
burn
would be
it
a
in public
completely
on the
different
street.
conversation about loitering and destruction of property. We're talking about being able to burn it. That's the issue. That's his
Right, nobody's
contention.
gonna come
Donald
arrest
Trump
you
does
for-
not believe that you should be able to burn it at all and tried to pass an executive order to stop you from doing that. That is a threat on the First
Yeah,
Amendment.
I don't
Dred
think you
Scott,
should.
thank you so much.
I don't think you should burn it. I don't. Do you think you should burn it? Like, do you think it's a duty?
What I
That's something you
think should happen doesn't matter if they're legally allowed to do so. I don't think people should
Right.
spank their kids. That doesn't mean I think the government should step in and stop you from doing it.
Spank or beat?
Both, actually. But anyway, we're not trying to
so-
pivot. The point of the example I just gave you is what I think doesn't matter if they're allowed to do it. If the Constitution allows them to
So
do it
you
and they're
think
not causing harm to another person and their property, they have every right to do it.
Right. If I'm at my property, I can burn that flag if I want to, and nobody can do a damn thing
Donald
about
Trump
it. It's
doesn't
my
think
flag.
so. That's the point of the example I'm
I
giving
think
you.
you're misconstruing that.
How am
though.
I
I think you're
misconstruing that? How?
Because I think the point of the whole executive order would be you're not coming out on the streets in your protests and burning flags in the street.
Have you read the executive order?
No.
Okay.
No, but that's how I take it. Now you can take it a different way. You know, I understand.
Here's the
that.
problem with how you take things and how I take things. Donald Trump doesn't care what you or I think. Donald Trump says what he says. And how we take what he says doesn't make it law or doesn't interpret what we says. I don't know why you're trying to explain what Donald Trump meant. Donald Trump said exactly what he meant.
No, you heard something, and you interpreted.
I
in
heard
your
Donald
way,
Trump
just like
speak
somebody-
himself. Yes. And I took his words exactly how he said it. Prosecuting
Right, so
burning of the
I
American
don't
flag,
believe-
Executive Orders, August 25th, 2025. By the authority vested in me as President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, it is hereby ordered. Our great American flag is the most sacred and cherished symbol of the United States of America and of American freedom, identity, and strength. Over nearly 2.5 centuries, many thousands of American patriots have fought, bled, and died to keep the Star and Stripes waving proudly. The American flag is a special symbol on our national life that should unite and represent all Americans of every background and walk of life. Desecrating it is uniquely offensive and provocative. It is a statement of contempt, hostility, and violence against our nation, the clearest possible expression of opposition to the political union that preserves our rights, liberty, and security. Burning this representation of America may incite violence and riot. American flag burning is also used by groups of foreign nationals as a calculated act to intimidate and threaten violence against Americans because of their nationality and place of birth. Notwithstanding the Supreme Court's rulings on First Amendment protections, the court has never held that American flag desecrated conducted in a manner that is likely to incite imminent lawless action or that is an action amounting to fighting words is constitutionally protected. Here's the key words. I'm going to read this part again. I want you to pay attention. Notwithstanding the Supreme Court's rulings on First Amendment protections, the court has never held that American flag desecration conducted in a manner that is likely to incite imminent lawless action or that is an action amounting to quote unquote fighting words is constitutionally protected. Therefore, like you said, imminent lawless action. One of those lawless actions could be you burning someone else's property or your fire of your flag being on someone's side of the land or loitering or making a mess in someone else's property, right? That's one of the examples. Or you burning a flag right before you get to throwing a Molotov through a local business. That would be against the law. The burning of the flag solely is perfectly fine. That's not what this is wording. He's alluding to one leading to the next, one being the next. And the second part, section here, an action amounting to fighting words. Do you understand how problematic that wording is? So people like you, or I won't say you, never mind, I'll give a different example. I had a guy come up last week and he said, if I see anyone burning the American flag, I'm going to punch them in the face because you're disrespecting this country, right? That's his opinion. Fighting words, someone burning the flag, can provoke anger in a whole nother individual that the president of the United States will try to prosecute you for because another guy can't control his emotions. That's the problem with this executive order. It's poorly worded, and thankfully the Supreme Court actually has this in a way that protects our rights. But Donald Trump didn't care about that when he passed this. So I don't think you've actually ever read this executive order. I truly don't.
I appreciate the explanation and the reading of it, but I don't see how that changes. Like, I don't like to see people burning the American flag. I know they hate this country. You know, that's definitely one of those things where it's like, I'm probably not gonna do anything to him, but I will say something. I have the freedom of speech. I'll be like, hey man, you're a fucking piece of shit.
And they have every
You know,
right
you
to
shouldn't
tell
be
you to
doing
fuck off. That's perfectly fine. That's perfectly protected. What I'm
Sure.
saying is
Now,
Donald
those
Trump thinks
things-
differently from you. So while you're saying
Well-
fascism doesn't exist, Donald Trump is honoring one of the first tenets in fascism.
That is not fascism. That is this is so ridiculous. I don't understand why you guys want to reach so far for this. Because you want a revolution? Let me ask you this. I mean, I'm 55 years old. I'm well armed to the teeth. I've been a liberal all my life, and it's people like you that drove me away from this. It drove me away from what I thought was liberalism, was the right of all people. You know, you guys drove us all away. Gen X, we don't want nothing to do with you anymore. We don't care. You're all whiny. You're fucking bitching all the time about something. You're always calling people fascists and Nazis. Like, we don't want anything to do with you anymore. We're all in the center now. We want everybody to come to the center, and you won't do it because you're filled with hate. You're filled
So
with
I want to
spite, and
remind you,
want-
I want to remind you that one of the tenets of fascism is specifically the state-controlled censorship and freedom of expression. That is one of the tenets of fascism. I just gave you an example,
Right.
and I read the portion of the executive order that directly goes against that. And you're sitting here telling us that we're a bunch of crybabies and whinies and bitches and all these different things. So at this point, I don't know what to tell you because I'm not the one who has a comprehension problem. When I just read Donald Trump's words himself, and I gave you Donald Trump's words himself, and you're the one fighting
want me
back
to believe
against it.
Donald Trump is Mussolini. You want me to believe
No,
Donald Trump
I
is
in no way,
Mussolini?
shape, or form said Donald Trump is Mussolini. So maybe, again, that's a comprehension problem as well. Whenever you hear people calling Donald Trump what he is, first thing you think of is Hitler and Mussolini and everyone else. And although he does absolutely have some similarities in some of the things he said and proposed, that's not what I called him. The whole purpose of what we're saying about Donald Trump is that so many things he says and does, and so many people in his cabinet, including Stephen Miller, threaten that line. They toe it very carefully, or some cases recklessly. And that's what we point out. I cannot speak for every single person who directly goes and says Trump is Hitler, right? That's a little bit out there, but he very much resembles him. And that part I can prove, and I think I just did. So I don't know why you're fighting it.
Well, listen, I didn't vote
Give me
for
an
Donald
you know what?
Trump.
You know
and
what?
Trump.
Tell you what. Let's go back to
Okay.
Biden. Let's go back to
Okay,
Biden.
sir.
You said you lived in a fascist government under Biden. Give me an example.
No, I said because if I mentioned
Okay, by my
anything on
definition,
Twitter
how
or-
did you live under a fascist government under Biden?
I said by your definition, I would have been. I don't
Right.
think I
And that's
was.
literally what I just said.
I think-
Got you. So by my definition, right? Because you understand my definition, apparently. Otherwise, I don't know why you said that. By my definition, how did you live under a fascist government under Biden? By my definition.
because I couldn't talk about anything when it came to COVID or anything else. I would get
How
kicked
so?
off of all social media.
How so?
And because I didn't, there was a lot of things I didn't believe that were going on. Like when they came out and said, wear this mask 6 feet apart, I said, that's not going to help. This is a virus.
I know
You know,
several
this is
people who've been
ridiculous.
saying that. Charlie Kirk said it throughout the entire pandemic. Candace Owens said it throughout the entire pandemic. The president said it throughout the entire pandemic. I know several people who still hold those beliefs and express that greatly under the Biden-Harris administration, and they did just fine. So here's the disconnect here. You're talking about private institutions who have their own terms of service. And what happens, what people tend to forget with private institutions, including TikTok here they're on, is that if certain things happen on their platforms that causes some harm and the government ties it or a lawyer ties it, that platform can then become responsible and liable. And what all these private institutions do is do their best to avoid lawsuits. So there are several people specifically on Facebook, because that was the big one. X was a little bit more whatever. Specifically on Facebook, who went up there and said, hey, go ahead and give you a daily dose of vitamin C and you'll be just fine. And people actually went and damn did it. And Facebook at the time already had a fact check. It already had a method of censoring content that wasn't validated. I remember this because a few of my posts that had nothing to do with the pandemic got pushed down before it was reviewed, and then they put it back up. That's a private institution. The government was not involved in that at all.
Yes, they were, dude. Yes,
How?
they were. Yes, they were.
How?
Because the people admitted it. People from Facebook admitted it. People
People
Twitter
from Facebook
admitted it.
confirmed that the government was in
People
regular
from-
contact with Facebook and Twitter daily, pressuring them to guard the content that was posted. Yes.
Yes.
They were
Now,
never
isn't that
forced to do
fascism?
anything.
Government had to control means of speech.
They were never okay. Got you.
Like,
If so, let me give you an example. Let me give you an
People
example.
wrong, that's fine.
Are you a Christian? Are you baptized?
No, I'm not a Christian, man. Don't even try to play.
I'm
that
not.
with
I'm
me,
not.
man.
I'm not.
This is-
I'm trying to
No,
make an
this is
example.
a game
Oh
that
my
these
God!
guys play. What-
If you don't know what I'm going to say, shut up. The purpose of me asking if you're a Christian is to use this example. I'm going to do it anyway. Say you were a Christian and your mother called you because she was a devout Christian for 40 years and she called you day in and day out and she said, when are you going to get baptized? When are you going to get baptized? You really should get baptized. You really should get baptized. Son, I want you to get baptized. Save your soul. Is that suppressing your freedom of speech? Is that pressure from your mother to get baptized in any way, shape, or form a force or an indicator of fascism that would make you get baptized? Or do you still have the right to tell her to fuck off and go on about your life?
Well, I would still have the right to tell her to fuck off, as which I did with my mother when I was 14 years old, because that fucking cunt told me she wished she would have aborted me. That's the liberal I grew up with. So I would tell her to fuck off.
I'm aligned with his mother.
I'm not a Christian. I'm not religious. I don't fly for any of that bullshit. Like I said, I grew up a liberal. I voted for Democrat. I voted for Bill Clinton. I voted for Al Gore.
Do you think that your issue with quote unquote liberal ideology just may have started with your negative relationship with your mother?
Oh, no, not just that.
No?
No, the whole family.
Well, you just
whole
volunteered that
family.
piece of
I grew up
information instead of
all
answering
Democrat.
my example, I think said a lot.
Yeah, when you get your Democrat mother telling you that, I'm sure, but she ain't the only one. She ain't the only one that I grew up that was a Democrat.
Not the only
You
one
know,
who
I always
wishes-
wanted to be a better Democrat than them. I always wanted to be like they're.
So what's
wrong
stopping
how
you?
they
What's
do it.
stopping you? What's stopping you from being a better Democrat?
Because there are no Democrats anymore.
What do you mean there are
You're
no
all
Democrats?
fucking Marxists. You're all Marxists.
Bernie Sanders a
and-
Marxist?
And communist and socialist.
Is Bernie Sanders a Marxist?
You know, you're not Democrats.
Is Joe Biden a Marxist?
Is Joe Biden a Marxist? Well, he might be in his own right. I'm sure he's getting swung that way. I mean, I don't think he knows what he is, to be honest with you. So
The purpose of the example that I gave you was to show that pressure from your mother, that mother in that example, which is somehow alluded to your personal relationship with yours, that example that I just gave, in no way, shape, or form was the mother forcing anyone to go and get baptized. The same way that the daily pressure from Biden officials getting on Facebook's ass, getting on Twitter's ass for actually censoring the misinformation that people were saying, which we should all universally be able to agree on, that bleach in no way, shape, or form in your body or on your body would take out the vid in a safe manner, right? Right?
sure.
Okay. The government said, hey, your platforms, people on your platforms are wild and you may want to take that down. And I'll level with you. I am 6,000% sure they didn't get everything right. We know they didn't get everything right. Trump didn't get everything right when he had press briefings every day. Fauci didn't get everything right when he went out and said some of the things he said. I still wouldn't say that was a matter of an intentional lying and manipulation. It was just more so it was a rapidly growing process and we were finding out new things every day. So I'm certain that may be some things that they pushed down because they were just like, we don't have that confirmed yet. And then maybe it was confirmed later. And then they said, okay, lift it. But that still wasn't the government. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm tired of repeating this. Mark Zuckerberg himself, officials themselves have come out and talked about the pressure that you're referencing, but they stated that the decisions that they made on these platforms were their own. So that's not fascism
yeah.
by quote unquote my logic.
When you have the government telling you, hey, you should watch this, you should do this, everybody's going to take that seriously. You know, come on, man.
So now any governmental, so an administration suggestion an administration suggestion people are going to take seriously and we can now use to say that they're fascists?
I said by the standards that you were saying, then I would consider that was fascism. But I don't.
By the standards
All I
that
do
I'm
con-
saying, because I know my standards better than you, by my own standards, that wouldn't be fascism. That's what I'm saying. Because by my own standards,
it-
no one was forced to do anything by the government.
What
The
would be
force is the part.
manipulation?
No.
Is it
How would that be
manipulation?
manipulation?
I don't know. The government comes to some platform where people are saying, "Hey, take ivermectin. That might help better than the vaccine." And then that person gets kicked off something because the government says, "Hey, this person's giving misinformation." Well, the
I think what you're
misinformation was given
failing,
by
what you
everybody.
keep falling back to is the government. The Facebook is not the government. Facebook is not
No,
the
they were
government.
told by the government. They
And
were told
Facebook
by
was
the
never
government.
told by the government what to do. Because the
Yes, they
government
were.
can't do that. Or better yet,
Did
even
it?
if they were told what to do, the private institution, Facebook, had zero responsibility whatsoever to agree with the government and do what the government wanted, which we've seen time and time again. We can take social media out of the equation. If there is no legal basis or law to where the government can come after you for what takes place on your platform, they won't. They can't. They haven't.
Well, like that one Democrat said, I remember his name, Chuck Schumer, I think, or whatever. He said, you go against these agencies, they'll get you 6 ways to Sunday. They'll figure out a way to get you, and everybody knows that. Everybody knows.
In
the
what way
IRS
did they
can
get
figure out
Facebook?
a way. They didn't, because Facebook did what they said.
They
They did
didn't.
what they were told.
They didn't. I was one of the people. Here's the crazy thing. I was one of the people back during the pandemic who was sharing some of these memes, who was posting some of this content, who was critical of the mask. I was in a red state, Kentucky, and I shared all kinds of things. Nothing outrageous as some of the other things people said, which is probably why I never got flagged. But I was able to share my opinion on things like eating healthier diets will build up more resistance to the vaccine and stuff of that nature. Not the vaccine, the virus and stuff of that nature. I was doing just fine. I never got flagged. I never got banned. There are several other people who can report the same thing. So
Yeah, I mean,
again,
if you weren't promoting horse paste, then you weren't going to get banned.
horse paste.
Because the ultimate goal was to have everybody take the vaccine.
Did you say
That was
horse
the ultimate
paste?
goal. Yeah, that's what they called ivermectin, horse paste. On the news, they called ivermectin, which is a Nobel Prize winning drug that has helped billions of people on this planet. They called it a horse paste.
Not
because somehow
particularly when
they
it
get
comes
so-
to effectively fighting the vid. There were some studies done that showed it had some impact, but ultimately was not what everyone said that it is. That's the difference. No one was saying that ivermectin is completely useless. It's more so that it wasn't as effective as people said. There wasn't enough trials for that. Or better yet, the trials that
wasn't
no,
enough trials
correction.
for that.
No, correction. The trials that did have were not successful in being a treatment over a vaccine. The vaccines proved to be the most effective ways to reduce the spread, not stop, reduce the spread of the pandemic. I say the pandemic because I can't say the other word on this damn platform.
It didn't reduce anything, though. That's misinformation right there.
How did it
Everybody
not? So
still
how are
got
we
it.
here today?
What are you talking about? I got it 3 times. I'm 55 years old, man. I was sick for a day, and then I was better the next day. I'm an extremely healthy person.
So that's
I mean,
a
I might
privilege
be
that you
older,
have.
but I
Hold on,
work out
that's a
every
privilege
day,
that you
and
have with your
I'm
health.
extremely healthy.
Your health allowed you to
What's
be
that?
able to beat the what you had faster than the average person. I, for one, the first time I caught it, I was down for 3 days and I was fine. The second time that I caught it was like 2, and then I was good. Other people caught it and were bedridden in the hospital for weeks and are still suffering from
Yeah, and all
heart
had
palpitations and
comorbidities.
otherwise afterwards.
They all had comorbidities, overweight, diabetic.
No,
I seen the
absolutely
pictures of
not.
all of
No.
healthy children
I
were-
worked with
were
a woman.
dying.
I worked with a woman up to this day still has heart palpitations and issues, has to have regular check-ins after she caught it. And then after she caught it and went through what she went through, she sure as hell went and got her vaccine. But she was in perfect health. She showed up into work every single day in gym clothes and changed in the thing. She was of This is gonna sound weird. Y'all bear with me. She was I know her background was like Indian and whatnot. And I'm saying that to say in terms of health and food that they ate and stuff and cultures, she was doing very well for herself when it comes to health. She got it and it fucked her up. This idea that it only affects people who are already having other issues and stuff is not true. It impacted them more, impacted them heavily, but no. Just because you were in great health doesn't mean that you couldn't catch it. As you said so yourself, you said you did just fine. You just beat it quicker, but you still caught it.
Yeah, I've had the flu where I've been down for days. Like it was nothing compared to the flu.
For you.
Nothing. For me. Yeah, a regular healthy person, the flu was way more than this.
So to
killer
use your
disease.
personal experience and blanketly say that it wasn't the threat that it was here in the United States would be a bit of an
I
ignorant
know other
take.
people that got it. It's not just my experience. I mean, I'm a human
Yes,
being.
many
I
other experiences.
have
People had the privilege of having better experiences, just like you did. And then I know several other people who are no longer here because of it.
Yeah, me too. And they all had comorbidities. They all
I know
had
several
other
people who
sickness.
didn't. And even if they, okay, all right, fuck it. I'll go with your example. They all had pre-existing conditions. They all had other things that to where when they caught the vid, it was the final straw. That's a lot of people in the United States. That's why it was a pandemic. Like you're making this point of like they had other things going on as if that makes the vid better. It doesn't. There would still be a reason to take the precautions that we did. That would still be a reason to get the vaccine. That's not help. I don't think you realize that you're like shooting your own self in the foot here. I'm very confused. That's more of a reason for people to get a vaccine.
I'm confused of why you call it a vaccine. Because what a vaccine does when I grew up, like I got the polio vaccine. I got 6 vaccines when I grew up, not 74 like they're giving out now.
No one has gotten 74 vaccines or boosters in relation to the pandemic vaccine.
No, I'm talking about 74 just vaccines, period. That's what's given out to children when they're born now.
No, there's no child that's getting 74 vaccines, my guy.
Number is correct. Yes. Not 74 shots. They put them all together and shit. Like, what? Do you have children?
Wait, what?
No.
Wait.
Do you have children?
No, I do not have children. I have a niece and nephew.
Okay. So then you don't know. I do. I have 3 children. And
Does he
you
know what a
don't know about
Tdap
the
is?
vaccines that are given to children. I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm just saying there's a lot of them.
Sir, if you allowed a doctor to vaccinate your child with 74 shots, that's a you problem. You're a horrible parent. I don't know why you would do that to yourself. No one else is doing that.
I didn't
Did
do
he
that,
count
but that's standard
boosters?
operating procedure now.
It's not
No.
at all.
Oh, okay. Well, you have Google. Look it up. How many vaccines do kids get? Not how many times they go in to get a shot, but how many vaccines are in the shot. And I'm not an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah, check
I
this
got my
out. Cool,
kids a
great.
shot.
But up until the age of their 18, they can get up to 54 doses annually. And this is of various vaccines. Not 74 as a kid. That doesn't exist.
Doses are boosters to get your titers
Well,
up.
what is
That's
that?
correct.
What are you talking about? Up until you're a kid at 17.
I'm saying, okay, hold on. All right. Well, yes, but I'm separating teens from like kid and child, right? Obviously, they're all technically children. When I'm talking about kids, I'm talking about between the ages of, that would be an infant and then baby, 3 to 10.
What I was
5 to 10.
just talking about what kids get.
What?
So I don't want to play semantics about this or anything. This isn't some sort of argue point, but the point was is I only got 6. And I want to know why I'm not going to. You said 54.
Thank you for the follows.
Okay. We'll go with that number. How come I didn't get the other 48? And how come I'm not sick?
Because we lived in a very different time. Because new diseases have developed and they got far more aggressive. And if you want to make an argument of feeling it not necessary to take as many vaccines as people do, that's perfectly fine. But we cannot ignore the fact that they're very much necessary. Everyone in the request, there's no point. Whenever we have the call lines on, the guest cannot speak to the caller and the caller cannot hear the guest. That's why I haven't let anyone up. I want to
Well,
get
you
back.
keep calling this thing a vaccine, and a vaccine is that my understanding of a vaccine means that I will not get sick, I will not get polio, I will not get malaria, I will not spread malaria.
No, not
So
every
this was
vaccine.
not a
No,
vaccine.
not every vaccine completely eliminates your chances of catching something. No vaccine is 100%.
Well, I didn't catch polio. I don't know anybody with the polio vaccine that got polio.
Okay, that doesn't
You
change
can
the
show me
fact that the
examples.
polio vaccine is not 100%. And the pandemic vaccine, that's what I'm going to call it, the pandemic vaccine was never advertised as something that eliminates the vid. It was never advertised as that. It reduces the spread. It makes, if you catch it, you are better prepared for it. Your immune system is better prepared for it. There are several people who got it and all the boosters and still caught the vid, but they may have survived or had a better survival rate because of that. That's all it was. And if you chose to take your chances by not getting it, by wearing masks or not wearing masks or getting some sunlight, that is your business between you and your state regulations. I was in a red state, so it was never mandated. It was hardly mandated federally in general. But many private institutions didn't want to take that risk. Again, going back to liability and lawsuits. So some of them mandated that you got it and you had a choice. So
Well, I'll tell you who did mandate it, and that was the government. And if you were a government
17.5%, yes.
take it, you lost your job.
17.5%
a
of
little
workers
bit-
in the United States under the federal government were required to get it. Yes. Medical professionals, government officials, particularly in the Army, yes. Those people were required to do it. Many of them also were able to get some medical and religious exemptions. Outside of that, yes, many government officials were required to get it.
To you, though, like, doesn't that seem like fascist behavior?
How?
Forcing people by losing your job if you don't do something?
No. Again, that's a decision of a private institution or better yet, the government that has rules and regulations that you agree to when you sign a document and you take the job. I think a lot of people got one hell of a wake-up call to maybe read more of the terms and service of stuff that we're signing our lives away to.
Military's required.
Well,
to
I would
take-
agree with that. It definitely gave us all a wake-up call. There's
Yeah.
no doubt that the power of the government to say, you no longer have your job, you can't afford your mortgage, you know, your kids might not eat tomorrow unless you.
But then you could have gotten
it.
it. Here's the problem with that. If you lost your government job because of this, because the government required you to do it, you could have just went on and gotten a different job. Like, it's unfortunate. I'm not trying to reduce the hassle that comes with that. It's absolutely unfortunate. It's a pain in the ass because especially in that job market, it's not easy to go back and get another one unless you have particular sets of skills, I guess. But you could have went and gotten another job. An example of fascism would be if you don't do this, we don't allow you to work anywhere. You cannot provide for yourself by any means necessary. There were enough people who weren't even happy with the government or private institutions, those people who work there, and then they became self-employed, and they're all the better for it. There were still options for people. I am unaware of anyone who lost their job during the pandemic and hasn't gotten a single one now, because the government never made it mandated in a way to where you can't come back, to where you're just done. That would be fascism.
The military's
Right, or how
always-
about this? When if you didn't get the vaccine and then you go to the hospital because you're sick and then they ask you, did you take the vaccine? And you say no, and they say you're at the back of the line. How about that?
What?
Would that be kind of fascistic if they
Are
said,
you
no, that we're
claiming?
not going to give you any?
Are you claiming that people during the pandemic who didn't have the vaccine were put to the back of the line for that reason alone?
No, what I'm claiming, I'm just asking the question, but what I'm claiming is that's what I heard on late night TV. I heard somebody who was it, Kimmel or something saying that, or you know, one of the liberal late night TV guys saying, "Too bad you didn't get it. You should go to the back of the line." Like that,
So a
you're talking
comedian
about people like
made a
me
joke,
and
and you're choosing
whoever
using
these guys
examples
that
to ask me if it's fascism.
Mhm.
Thank
Yeah, if would
you.
deny healthcare.
Thank you, Ari Walker,
If you
for
would
the.
deny health-
Hold on a second. Thank you, Ari, for the $5 in Venmo. I've recently noticed that people will say USA is the greatest country in the world, but they never say we have the best people in the world. It's a self-owned and kind of admitting that Americans aren't really good people. This is a very old message that I missed. I agree with you, Ari. Appreciate you. W Sari in the chat, y'all. W Sari in the chat. Appreciate your support. And thank you, Lindsay with the ass, for the $50 on Cash App for car things. I appreciate you. I do have to schedule it later. But it looks like we will be picking up the new car tomorrow. So W's to you guys for all your support in doing that. W's to the donators. W's to the donators. That makes us about a third of our goal. Those of you who like to support the platform in these conversations, Cash App and Venmo links are available in the bio. Back to you, caller. What are you saying, Will?
What? No, my name's Mike.
Okay, got that wrong. Mike.
So no, I was just saying an example because you were like bringing up some people that really don't write policy. They're, you know, that are saying things.
Well, hold on.
No.
Your argument was that Nazis aren't here. There's not Nazis and no fascists. I gave examples of them and people in our government that are leaning that way, and then you changed it to, well, there's no Nazis running our government. No, I cannot necessarily prove that there is a self-proclaimed Nazi in our government. But when I see people in our government who are saying Nazi things, doing Nazi things, supporting Nazi ideologies, even if it's loosely, my spider senses start tingling.
Yeah, I think it's paranoia, man. Is what's tingling really is what it sounds to me
Got
like.
you.
But
So let's do a quick
I get it. You
recap.
have an opinion,
Okay.
And I respect that.
Let's do a quick recap. You made this whole argument about fascism not being here, Nazism not being here. I then proceeded to give you hold on, who emails me? You've reserved. We'll see you Friday, October 10th at 6:30. I did not set this appointment. Okay. All right, reschedule that. Crap. Where was that? I gave you an example of the president of the United States not only saying something that is literally fascist, but I read the executive order that backs its fascism because it's so loosely written. It was pathetic. You then rejected that. You then tried to word-splain for Donald Trump instead of going off of what he actually said. Somehow, in some way, we got to your relationship with your mother, which I think is fueling this entire conversation, mind you, and your hatred for Democrats. And then now we're using examples of jokes that you think is fascist leaning, even though it's a joke. This has been a wild ride, Mike.
Just a joke. It was just a joke. It was just trolling. Is that what you're saying it was? He was just trolling.
Kind of like you said, Jimmy Kimmel isn't a government official. In fact, his entire show is late night entertainment. You say things to provoke people. Yeah. And let's be clear. Someone saying, oh, you don't have a vaccine? Go to the back of the line. Ha ha ha. That's vastly different from, let's say, Charlie Kirk saying the guy who beat Nancy Pelosi's husband over the head with a hammer, a true patriot, with pardon him, or not pardon specifically, let me not misquote him. A true patriot should bail him out of prison. Do you think those jokes are the same?
You don't have citizenship, so you can't go to
You say a joke is a joke, I guess. I mean, I'm not saying they're the same. Are you trying to put levels on jokes?
No,
like
I'm asking you your personal opinion, because if you try to use an example of how Jimmy Kimmel's joke is fascist leaning, so then I gave you another example of a joke, one that directly led to harm and was excusing harm caused to another individual, and I'm just asking you if you think those two jokes are the same.
I was just trying to get the standard. I didn't say Jimmy Kimmel's joke was a fascist joke. I said,
why did you bring it up?
I was asking, like, do you think that's fascist?
No,
like, because that can be misconstrued as that. No, it's not fascist. It's just mean. It's just trolling. It's just fucking. It's just mean and awful fucking shit.
Let's censor this.
Let's
censor this. Was the president of the United States, when he said I took freedom of speech away, was he joking? Was he memeing? Was he trolling?
But there isn't freedom of speech taken away. We're still all talking.
It was a yes or no question.
Whatever we want.
It was a yes or no question. When the president of the United States said we're taking freedom of speech, I took your freedom of speech away, was that joking and memeing and trolling?
It sounds like it's trolling. Yeah, sounds mean. Fuck yeah, he's a mean motherfucker. There ain't no doubt about it. But you guys are just as mean. Like, all of us that are in the center now, we're all looking at both of you and saying, you know, you're all crazy. You've all lost your minds. You're all deranged. That's what we're saying about you. That's what everybody 50, 55 that's in the center that's going, hey, Donald Trump is not going to be here forever. It's 4 years. Well, he said he's going to get elected again. It's like, shut up. Like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Hold on.
We need you guys
I need you to listen to something. I need you to listen to something for a second.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Talking to the caller, not me. Holy, some people think I'm the one who's insane.
All right. I don't know how to explain to someone Donald Trump's exact words. Like, I don't know how to get people. I don't know how to. What do you
That
do?
man must have walked with that.
What do you do when you tell someone exactly what Donald Trump said? When you read out a document that he signed, not into law because it's an executive branch, but directly challenge the actual law of the land. What do you do when you do all of that and they say it was memeing, it was joking, it's a troll? I don't know where the fuck to go from there. I just don't. And I am so tired of this pandemic nonsense. Friendly reminder, and I have this source posted in the Discord. 17.5% of American workers were the only ones who were mandated, who were required to get a vaccine. Fun fact, the majority of that branch, if not entirety of that branch, was the military and medical professionals. People who would directly be working hand in hand with folks who spread the virus, so that makes fucking sense. Or individuals in the government of our military branches. And I guess a lot of that had to do with the fact that many of them did go overseas, and then you're like in platoons and stuff with other people, right? Those were the only two places where it was mandated. Everything else was private institutions. Now, if we want to pass a law to say that private institutions cannot mandate you to get a vaccine, then by all means. But then that's going to open up a very interesting door when it comes to what the government can stop people from doing. And then I would then reverse their argument and say that that's a form of fascism. But I digress. I really tried, guys. I really tried. What was really telling to me, what really helped summarize the entirety of this conversation, clearly that man was hurt. Clearly somebody hurt that man. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Sam, for the Dolphins. Clearly somebody hurt that man, okay? And when I gave him the example, a hypothetical example of a mother pressuring you to get baptized, homie said, "That bitch, my mother." Bro felt it.
Bro goes, my mom told me that she wished she had gotten an abortion. And I'm like, sir, I'm not sure I could say I disagree.
And it wasn't just my mother, right? My Democrat mother. So you can tell that said everything. He associated the Democrats with evil, with harmful mothers, with piece of shit people. That told me everything I needed to know. Because I'm like, bro, it was just a hypothetical. It has nothing to do with party. But he's like, my Democrat mother, piece of shit, fucking bitch. Like, that. I was like, that told us everything. That told us everything. Yeah, I know what he called her. I'm not repeating that. I don't like that word. That told me everything. That told me everything.
Did you catch this? No?
Say that again.
Like, it was 6 million people. It was 6 million Jewish people. He didn't say Jewish people though.
He said
He just said
yeah.
Jewish.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, Are you saying that they're not people? From jump, I was like, you're denying that there's Yahtzees because it sounds like you're a Yahtzee.
Thank you, Feisty, for the $50 on Venmo. Feisty with no ass. I'm so sorry to hear that. That can be worked on. Can we get some can we get some W's for Feisty in the chat, y'all? Some W's for Feisty in the chat. I see we had 2 missed calls when I was on the line with that guy. So if any of you guys are still here, you're more than welcome to call in. We'll get you sorted out. YouTube is a wild place. Oh man, thank you so much, Feisty. I'm sorry, I haven't updated the goal. Give me a second. Let me do some math. I'm more than willing to have conversations with people about these things, and we clearly had vastly different political points. But oh my fuck, I don't know what to do when you present information to people and their rebuttal is that 74 vaccines. Let me be clear. And this is where a lot of people are not going to like this. I don't care. So I was very much anti-vax, right? And then I started understanding the science behind it to where I'm just like, okay, I'm not anti-vax, but I'm also not going to be the type of person to go run up to the doctors and get every single shot available, right? That's just not me. I think if I was in particular fields and doing things, I would be a lot more open to doing it, not to mention healthcare, right? Which mine is currently fucked. Most recently, I have considered getting one or getting a couple because of what I did for work, because of all the people that I interacted with. Where I'm like, okay, this would just be a literal safety precaution for myself to get some vaccinations, especially considering that my immune system is not the same. I've been getting a lot more sick lately. And I'm like, okay, I don't mind doing it, but I'm not like, don't do it because aborted fetuses are in the vaccines or they put the disease in there to make you reliant on the pharmaceutical company. That's not the type of person that I am. I'm just more so, if you absolutely don't need to get it, then don't fucking get it. I don't care. And that's only with some of them. I would say polio, don't fucking play with polio. Don't fucking play with chickenpox. Don't fucking play with, hell, I would even say the vid, to be completely honest with you. Because some of that shit has been fighting to have a comeback, to be honest. So it's just, anyway. We're at, hold on, 50, 100, 105. Okay, guys, we are 105 of our daily goal. I greatly appreciate the people who have donated so far. Those of you who want to support the platform, the conversations that we're having, and who would like to knock out that 45, you may do so with the links in the bio, Cash App and Venmo, Hector Talks with 2 R's, Hector Talks with 2 R's. If you don't have any money, I understand, but those of you do. It doesn't matter if it's $1, doesn't matter if it's a 5, doesn't matter if it's a 50. Everything's accepted, anything's appreciated, whatever the fuck Santana says. And then again, I'm like, I really wanted to ask him about the fact that I think he said he got vaccinations. Did he not say he got vaccinations?
He said he did, but now his kids have to have 74. And I'm like, sir, are you talking about like boosters and stuff? Like if your kid gets the flu shot every year, that's 1 a year. If you like some are 3, like I think Tdap you have to get a few times.
The reason why that's, oh, sorry.
A few times. You get them a few times so that the immunity response builds up in your system.
The reason why that's hysterical to me is, one, this is literally coming from the party of people, and he stated this in the call, we're bitch made, we're weak, we're this, we're that. So technically, by his own logic, yes, this generation would need more protection because we're a bunch of bitches, right? Technically, by your logic, we're a bunch of bitches, so we would need more vaccines than you did, to be fair. I don't agree with that, but I'm saying by his logic. Secondly, you got these vaccines. These vaccines worked for you. How does that turn you into being anti-vax? The most confusing thing to me about people who are anti-vax is the fact that they've gotten vaccines before. When I was anti-vax, guess what? I thought I never had one. I thought I never got a vaccine. I never forget this. I was 21, 22 years old. I called my mother and we were talking about it. And I was literally telling her a story of how I was explaining to someone else that I got to 21, 22 years of age without a single vaccine. And then my mother said, oh, well, no, that's not true. And I said, what? And she was like, yeah, when you went to school, you got vaccinated. I was like, really? She was like, yeah, you got a couple. My whole world crashed. I was like, I was like, I championed living my life without it, and that I was super healthy and I was super fine. Little did I know I did get it as a kid, and I just didn't forget it. I just forgot about it, or because my mother didn't get much afterwards, I thought I never got any. That just completely fucking destroyed my whole thing. I didn't sit there and roll back and think, did the vaccine make me gay? Is the vaccine why my hairline is receding? Is the vaccine why I'm having this arm issue? I don't fucking know what people think. I was just like, huh, I got vaccines and I'm just fine. So clearly there must be some... Martina, I am so tired of going over this with y'all. I used to be MAGA. I used to believe everything they believed. One of the reasons why I'm aggressively against it. You know what? I'm going to take this moment to say this. I think one of the reasons I'm able to talk to these people so well is obviously because I was one of them. And two, I think that actually gives me an advantage. I think there's a lot of people on the left. All you Northerners know is like this much progression and this much this and this much that. You have no idea how to talk to a Southerner. You have no idea to talk to someone who has a different opinion. That's why a lot of you get so fucking angry. Not all the cases, because it's justified to be angry at stupid people saying stupid shit. But I'm saying, I listen to a lot of lives with like lefties, and they're talking to MAGA and they're just like infuriated at everything. And I'm just like, this is like my entire upbringing, so I'm used to it. I don't care. But the difference between me and other people was I believe the stuff that I believe because I was never presented in an alternative side. And then the second that I was and I validated it, I was like, oh, never mind. I'm stupid. I'm not going to be stupid anymore. One of the amazing things about TikTok and other social media platforms and people who do this is that anyone and everybody can come up and ask a question and have the information presented to them, and then they can choose to make better decisions going forward. One of the reasons why I am so anti-MAGA is because you guys can have the truth put right in front of your face and you'll still go, nuh-uh, it doesn't make any sense. Martina, you were trying to say something. I apologize.
I forget, but I definitely thought you were done your sentence.
No, you're fine.
But I have a new thing to say, and it's that with a head that big, you'd think you would have been smarter.
This is why we lost the election. This is the reason. What's going on?
I think I was going to say that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I try not to be mad, but like when it gets to misogyny or racism or human rights shit, or when they try to say 2 + 2 = 5 in some way, shape, or form, that really, my mathism, done with that.
You guys want to hear a real conversation I listened to earlier, which this should come to no surprise to y'all, but it really hit me like a ton of bricks this morning. I was in it was Monica's live. Her username is Just Monida. If you're not following her, go follow her. Fantastic creator. Typically live every morning. And she had a guy come up and they said, border crossings are basically next to nothing. We only had 4,000 encounters and apprehensions. That's what he specifically said. Encounters and apprehensions in the month of March. Monica pulls up the information from CBP, shows him the month of March. It says 29,000. Okay, that is about 7 times more than what he said. He is 7 times wrong. Shows him this information, and this man says with his full chest, I'll type it in the chat. I got you. This man says with his full chest, we just have a different idea of the numbers. And I said, what?
Alternative facts.
We just have a different ideas of the numbers. Mind you, these were the same numbers that he was citing when he thought it was 4,000 from the same site, the same source. Now that he can't argue against the source, he's now arguing against his numbers. I'm like, let me be clear, guys. You fucking lied. It wasn't a different idea of shit. You lied. You were wrong. But according to him, this is how they're phrasing it now. We just have a different idea about things. But when liberals do it, when we talk about, we have a different idea of lifestyles. We have a different idea of family values. We have a different idea of what we think is best for the economy. We're wrong. We're socialist, Marxist, F words, all this stupid. I can't. Thank you, Samantha, for the perfume. Let me type her username down here. Hold on. This may not be her user, but if you search this, you'll find her. It's just Monida. I always pronounce it wrong. Just Monida. Like Monica is a play off of that. Just Monida. I typed it in the chat. I will do the same on the Tube side, but I don't know if she has a YouTube account. Yeah, I'm like, what do you do with that? What do you do with that when anytime you present information to them, even from the same source they said, they'll say we have a different idea of numbers? What the fuck do you do with that?
Are you allowed to say the real name for tube socks? I thought
I almost did, yeah. I know that is something that will get you like a flag.
Okay.
We've been live for about 2.5 hours. How the fuck will we not pass 100K likes? Guys, there's 146 people in the live. There were 220 earlier, and then I started rambling. That's fine. We're about to wrap up soon. Tap up the screen. Let's get the likes up to 125K. I'm so sorry. You've been up here for a minute, Herb. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say about the vaccines, just real quick. Being a child of the 50s and 60s, and then raising my kids in the 80s, it was unheard of that you would not have vaccines in order to get your kid into school. And people that are my age, all my colleagues today, we're just amazed that there's been such a pushback that, you know, that kids can get in, parents can put kids in school without vaccines. It's just amazing how people think along those lines, but that's where we are now.
And polio is back.
I'm sorry. And let me say this also about the schmatzis, or whatever we're calling them. I belong to a very progressive, large church in Dallas, Texas, when I lived in Dallas. And just 2 years ago, we had real live Nazis that showed up.
Real quick, I'm so sorry. Pause for a second. Real quick, just to prove my point here. Can you believe there was someone on the tube side in the chat who said Hector's getting cooked? Would you guys believe there was someone in the chat on the tube side who said I was getting cooked in that conversation?
Oh my God.
What the fuck do you do with that? Sorry, go ahead, Herb.
Well, we had real Nazis, or whatever I'm allowed to say, actually show up and protest on the edge of our property, complete with all of the regalia that they wear.
God bless you.
So I've
Thank you,
seen
Mel.
it. And then 20 years before that, we had the KKK show up
Try to say triple K.
and do the same thing. They do exist. There are literal fascists. But the point that you're trying to make, I think, was that it is very prevalent now. The actions that are being taken by this administration, it is very clear where we are headed, and you've got to have your head up your ass to believe anything different. So,
he did switch his argument later. Then he's like, well, there's none in the government. Well, I'm like, how the fuck would you do this? I hate that argument. I hate that argument so much because we wouldn't know. No one would know if there was an actual schmatzi in the government unless it was exposed that there was a schmatzi in the government. What we can do is to go, if he talks like a Nazi, walk like a Nazi, pushes policies that are Nazi-like, then it is very likely that that person could be a Nazi or a Nazi sympathizer. That is literally the best anyone can do. So what pisses me off, and I'm going to say something that some of y'all don't like. I'm very careful with when I call people things. Very careful when I call people things. The reason being, because there's always some fool out there who comes up and says, you guys just call everyone everything in the book, and then it's not true, or you're just mad, or blah, blah, blah. And they're not completely wrong, right? If I call someone a fascist, they are most likely a fascist or fascist leaning, right?
We did it, Joe.
We know this because of many of the things that the Trump administration have said and done. And there's a lot of people I've seen just kind of call anybody that as long as you voted for Trump. And I'm like, I don't think that's beneficial, because then they run back and they say, see, there's one of the people. I voted for Trump just because I thought he was going to be better for the economy, and now I get called a Nazi. I know how that feels. That's a little disingenuous, right? But I digress. So I'm very careful what I call people things. When I say Donald Trump is a racist, when I say Donald Trump is a transphobe, when I say Donald Trump is a xenophobe, when I say Donald Trump is a fascist, a minimum fascist leaning, those are all things that I can substantiate easily it actually takes next to nothing for me to do. It's easy because I don't have to go do some super extra digging to prove that point. I can just Google any other thing that he says almost on a daily basis to prove that point. The crazy thing about how much you guys deny who Donald Trump is as a person is that there's too much evidence out there. There's too much evidence out there. And I'm just like, are you just not seeing it? Or do you just not care? Or better yet, kind of like racism and inherent racism in white people, you don't have the right tools and knowledge to identify what it looks like in people. That's why they get so pissed off when they hear the word microaggressions. It's the simplest concept of things to understand, but to them it's outrageous. Hold on a second. What did I say?
Speaking of microaggressions, fuck Taylor Swift.
What she do now?
Oh, her new album is full of fucking microaggressions toward the black community, especially the black women that her fiance used to date. The amount of Taylor Swift hate on the internet right now is fueling my soul because I have always disliked her and believed her to be relatively performative and definitely not a girl's girl.
Thank you, Rebecca, for the $15 on Venmo for all of your hard work. I appreciate you, Rebecca. Can we get some W's in the chat for Rebecca, please? Some W's in the chat for Rebecca. Appreciate your support. We're going to talk more about the album in a second. W's in the chat for Rebecca. And thank you, Eva. Or I hope I'm saying this right. I'm going to say Eva. Eva for the $48.51. That's oddly specific, on Venmo, for your patience and a new car. I love it when you guys call me patient. I don't think I'm patient. I feel like, I mean, I guess to myself, I don't feel like I'm patient because what you guys see and how long I'm talking to people is not how I'm feeling here. What I wanted to say in here was vastly different from what I showed outward. So I don't feel patient when I say a lot of things that I say, but thank you so much. W's to Rebecca and Eva for the donations. I greatly appreciate y'all. That puts us up to 63. Can someone let up whoever's in the request? 63. So we are over the goal. That puts us up to 168 of 150. So we have hit it for the day. I greatly appreciate every last one of you. W's to y'all. But by all means, if you want to continue to support the platform and send anything extra, you can. Hector Talks with 2 R's. Hector Talks with 2 R's. Also, please feel free to take care of Martina while she's up here. I don't know if you have your links in your bio, but I know she has a bunch of great resources in her bio for great ways you can support activism and you can support people in need. So make sure that you guys are following Martina for one. I do not kid you when I say this. Martina is probably one of the top 5 smartest women I've ever met on this fucking app. She's fucking brilliant. So make sure that you're following her and supporting her. You'll often see her pop up and cook people. But with love. She's much more polite than me. Yeah.
The numbers have jumped.
Who that is?
Just with that little ad. So that's good.
Bruh. I love how I asked one of y'all to let up the guest in the box and then y'all just said fuck Hector. It's fine. I got it. What is that username?
Hello.
Lord of Melons. Age and state, please.
I'm 26 from Massachusetts.
Great. And what is your question?
Where does liberalism come from?
Where does liberalism come from?
Yeah.
I don't
When and where?
necessarily know how to answer that question, to be completely honest with you.
When and where did the ideology of liberalism first emerge?
I have no idea how to answer that question.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you.
Sure.
It comes from the Enlightenment period in Europe. It comes from people like Jean-Jacques Rousseau and John Locke and Adam Smith. And these people. This is where liberalism comes from.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And so, do you know what is the definition of liberalism?
I know what the definition of liberal is, and that's what I go by when I identify as one.
Okay, what would you say the definition is?
It's not about what I say, it's about what it is. Willing to respect or accept behavior or opinions different from one's own, open to new ideas, relating to or denoting a political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, and democracy, and free enterprise.
Yes.
And that's
Okay.
where the
Yeah.
capitalism
Brilliant.
part
Brilliant.
comes
Yeah.
into play, to be fair. Yeah.
There's social. Yes, don't be like a full-on bro. There's classical and there's social liberalism, and like, so just understand that there are two sides to liberalism, not just one.
I mean, I've never met a liberal who disagrees with the free market. Right.
I guess I would be one then, because I would disagree with the free market.
Oh, really?
You're progressive.
Yeah, everyone
So
keeps
then-
telling me that makes me a progressive. So be it. If we're separating the words, whatever the fuck, we're all the same thing to the opposing side. But yeah, I am not free market, because the free market is dangerous, and kind of like Martina pointed out perfectly earlier, it's destructive. It cannot be sustained long term.
Also, like Adam Smith wasn't 100% like totally free, right? He talked about progressive tax structures. So like, it's not Ayn Rand libertarianism, which would be like a full-on free market.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that if you don't believe in the free market, then this is not liberalism, right? This is like one of the two most important things of liberalism, right? It is individual liberty and the free market, right? And even achieving that individual liberty through the free market. And so, like, getting rid of half of that kind of, changes it a lot.
How do you liberate people from the conditions of the market?
How?
Yeah, define liberty.
Define liberty.
Yeah.
The
said
freedom,
liberty.
the freedom to choose what you want to do with your life.
But you can't. You can't in a free market. You have to. It assumes you have capital. You first have to have enough capital to afford to choose, right? So you're not afforded liberty in a free market.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't say that the two key things are liberty and then free market, because free market doesn't allow for liberation.
I agree. The ideology of liberalism does not make any sense at all. It's a huge contradiction. I totally agree with you. Yeah. But it says here I'm a liberal. that's why it came up,
Socially liberal. He's talking about social liberalism.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. I guess that's all. It seems like we agree.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Not unless you have anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, the last thing is that, liberalism is a very destructive ideology that is the cause of colonialism. It is the cause of white supremacy, right? It is the cause of the massive inequality in the United States and throughout the world, right? It's obviously with colonialism, there's G side as well and all of that kind of stuff. And so, I think that liberalism is definitely something that needs to be left in the past. Yeah, that's sort of why I came up here. But it seems like I mean, you agree. So
You're just trying to figure the right.
Okay. Thank you for coming up. Too many people have fucking contention with this word. Should I change the background? Should I just put progressive? Is that easier for you guys? Because to be clear, when I put liberal up on this sticker, it wasn't for the left. It wasn't for the
You
left.
should put,
Okay?
I'm a dirty commie.
Fucking A. It's just,
What?
ugh. Every goddamn live, every fucking time. I'm a liberal. And there's always somebody who's just nitpicking about the fucking definitions and all this other stuff. And I'm just like,
Hector, friend, I say this with love. Say this with love. You just got the definition wrong. You know how when people go around and they're like, literally, but they mean figuratively? I think that's happened with the word liberal.
I can concede to that. But even when we're talking about the noun, a supporter of policies that are socially progressive and promote social warfare. That's me.
It's okay. So here's the yes, but liberalism. He's right in that liberalism.
Liberalism, yeah, it sounds like a whole nother, yeah.
No, it's what I'm a liberal is saying. Like you're in the realm of liberal. Like liberal came from it was how they fought back against monarchs, and it was the option instead of monarchy, which is where you got capitalism and like Wealth of Nations from Adam Smith, etc. So that's why it's rooted in like the concepts of the free market. But even then, Adam Smith was very much about like appropriate distribution of power and things like progressive tax structures.
Mhm.
So it wasn't like Ayn Rand libertarianism, which came later. So it's all whatever. It's they were trying to free themselves from monarchs, and they tried capitalism, and capitalism just became another version of feudalism. Really, the crowns just became trust funds.
All right. So if I intend to keep hosting this live, which to be fair, we are not just looking for MAGA, we're looking to talk to everyone. That's the main reason why I'm considering changing the name. Because I am not going to go down this fucking hole with every goddamn commie in person who has an issue with that word. However, I also know that liberal specifically is very triggering for MAGA, and it does tend to get people up in the box. So I think it's quite effective with doing that when it comes to the right side. I think if I put progressive up here, it would not have the same effect. They can't even define it. When I put liberal, they'll fucking lose it as socialists. And at that point, I'm attracting people that I don't want to talk to because they'll just be fucking mad all the time. But like, I don't know. I get what y'all are saying with I guess how it's associated now. I still feel like it's just like why are we doing this? I feel like I've made my positions abundantly clear live after live. Put why you shouldn't be a conservative. I mean, that's anything. But no, this specifically is just to talk to people. It's literally just to talk to people. That call we had earlier, that should have never happened. I was straight up debating that guy at this point. But I wasn't. Well, no, I wasn't. Actually, that's a lie.
You could say, I left MAGA, asking me a question, but you might get people on the left asking you. Like, you might get people asking you questions about how to save their family members or something.
That would be a good one. That would be I left MAGA ask me questions. I may
That would
consider
get him
that one.
triggered. Now he referenced the Renaissance, didn't he? Or did I miss that?
I think so.
Yeah.
And you know, and then he said how that's such a bad thing, that's where liberalism came from. But you know, we wouldn't have any of the ideas that we have in our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence, had it not been for the Renaissance. We wouldn't have freedom from of slaves. I mean, no thanks to the Bible. You know, it was the Renaissance that began to open the floodgates, I think, of thinking. Well, I'm not on the same level that you kids are, but I just thought I'd throw that out there.
No, I thank you for that. I'm sorry. I'm just here. I'm debating the logistics of if I put that up. I think the problem that I would have, the reason why I chose this word specifically and this background specifically, because I felt like it invites everyone to speak. If I put I left MAGA, the majority of people are going to come up is going to be maggots. And I'm trying to get out of the space where I'm solely hosting lives just to talk to MAGA, just to debate MAGA, because that's what the other lives are for. This live's purpose is just to talk to people. And if I put that up, it would be a debate space, which I actually do try to stray away from. I really fucking do. I will say technically, I said earlier that last caller became a debate. With him, yes, but technically if that was a debate, I would have hung up on him like 5 minutes ago. Because y'all know how I am with debates. I make a point, you prove it, or you concede, or you fuck off. That's how my debates work. I don't play games with people and their nonsense. The fact that I allowed him to go from fucking ivermectin to his mom to Trump to... that does not happen in my life. I do not play with that shit. So I will say I did a good job. I'll say I did a good job.
The gentleman did several hugs and perhaps a lobotomy. Or maybe he already had one.
Hector stabs you, then walks off. That's diabolical, Darcy. I didn't realize that you hated me so much. It's okay. Wow. Thank you, AC. What's going on, AC? What's going on, AC? Guys, if you are not following AC down in the comments, make sure that you're doing so. Fantastic creator. And they're consistently trying to ban his account, so he must be saying something right. Hi, Amanda. Thank you. Thank you, Sweet Potato. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Nuclear. Thank you, Becca. Thank you, Kimmy. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Is MK Daw. Thank you, Raven. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Mel. Thank you, Shrooman. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Scare. Thank you, Ice Cream Socialist, Amanda, Sam, Juju, Hazy. I'm just going over all the people that I missed. I appreciate every last one of you from everything you donated so far. Are we taking care of Martina? How many coins does Martina have? Oh, no fucking way. Guys, we need to get Martina up to 1,000 coins. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes to do it. The fact that they've been here this whole time providing all the information that they have, and I'm getting donations and coins and that she isn't, I'm going to call y'all sexist as fuck. Let's get Martina up to 1,000 coins, unless you're Mel. Mel don't donate shit. Everyone else, get Martina up to 1,000 coins. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Darcy said, you know I adore you. I don't believe you. I don't believe you anymore.
Hector's up here talking the masses. That's crazy.
That sounded like it came from the heart.
Maybe you are a lib.
Oh my god, I'm sick of y'all. I'm sick of y'all. Get Martina's coins up, y'all.
Thank you, Sweet Potato.
I think we're gonna wrap up with this last guest, and then we'll do final thoughts. And Erica's live, so we'll give her a raid. Watch me, Mel. Hi, Raleigh. Age and state, please. Oh.
Well, bye.
I don't think they meant to request that. I don't think they meant to request that. All right, 625. WCL for the gifts. Not Mel. You don't listen. This is why. Never mind. Thank you, Becca. Thank you, Sweet Potato. Thank you, AC. Once Martina hits 1,000 coins, we will do final thoughts. We're not going anywhere until Martina hits 1,000 coins. I think it's absolutely crazy when women come up on these lives and they aid people like myself in several areas where I did not know how to answer those questions and stuff. And Martina came to the rescue. Y'all didn't fucking donate all that time. I think that's extremely disrespectful. And I think that shows your sexism. Even you women, you have inherent misogyny to work on. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about, Dave. Look at white men picking up the slack. That's what the fuck I'm talking about, Dave. W's Dave. W's Dave. W's to Dave.
W Dave. That's a pretty tree. I like the. There's no fall gifts, and I haven't gotten to see all of them.
Let me see.
I haven't been on the streets.
Just wild.
But I think I might start doing nerd lives.
I think you should. TikTok is definitely a place to do it. All right. I can't donate at the moment. Okay. Every time I say like throw things at people, someone always goes, I can't. I appreciate you. When I make these calls to help creators, it's to the people who can. I know exactly what it's like to be sitting in a live with somebody that I love and adore dearly and not have $1 to my fucking name. And I just don't be commenting. I'm like, I don't want them to know I'm here. It's okay. It's okay not to have. It's okay not to be able to donate. This call isn't for you. Okay? It's okay. I appreciate
your presence is the present.
Your presence is the present.
Though, make sure that you've at least followed, and if you have the one coin that you've sent your heart me, and that if you've sent your heart me, you've collected your team points. And that if you've been lurking in here and you haven't commented anything, comment's worth like 80 team points. So drop a comment. Just like 5 words. Just be like, I'm a lurker.
Tell you what we will do. We'll do one more. Obviously, anything you guys have, throw it at Smanth. Follow the live creator. Smanth, were you not following me this whole time?
Samantha. What? We need to have a conversation, young lady.
Samantha's in my
I'm telling you
server.
That can't be right.
Yeah.
It's gotta be a backup. It's gotta be a backup.
You know what? The more I talk to y'all, the more I realize y'all don't like me. Y'all just be hate watching. I don't know what it is. I'll be watching people that I interact with almost daily and see the notification come by that they follow me. I'm just like, oh, so y'all was just like, fuck me before then? Okay. What changed? See Suze's comment? You can unfollow and follow to give 2 coins. It's not.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing people do. They like ask their followers to unfollow and then refollow them because it like gives, it helps you win or hit some target or something. Ask Jess. I don't know these things, but Jess does. Bye, Herb.
Later, Herb. Thank you very much for coming up. I didn't know that was a thing.
Herb seems cool.
Yeah, Herb's
Did
cool.
you know Herb?
I've seen him before. Yeah,
Oh.
I've seen him in here. Herb's cool. From what I've seen of the comments, I think that's the first time he's been up on my panel. I didn't know that was a thing. Amanda just coming in clutch with knocking out the gift goal. Thank you so much, Amanda. We have been pretty terrible with that today. W to you, Amanda. Not at all.
We've only got 27 shares, unless they changed how maybe the shares only count if someone clicks it now.
You're correct. We only have 27. And this is another thing, and this is where I'm absolutely going to shit on the left for this. I see far too many creators who went through the brunt of the election up until November 5th, well into January, February, March, April, May, June. And many of them decided to change their platform up a little bit, to be talking about the same things that matter and just maybe trying to have more conversations, not debating MAGA as much, so on and so forth. And these creators suffer for it. Not just the algorithm, but people, dedicated followers who do not support them the same way because you guys love contention. You guys love the smoke. You guys love the nonsense. And I think that's bullshit. Support your favorite creators, whether they're crashing out on a maggot or they're trying to educate you on some policy. You should be there for all of it. And don't get me wrong. I'm the first to admit I do this shit. Not do this shit. I join lives for entertainment sometimes. I like the smoke, obviously, as I still do debates. But it doesn't change the fact that I can sit in Laney's live and listen to their sweet voice talk for an hour about just unpacking transphobia and everything else. And I can enjoy it just the same. Sometimes you have to be in a mood for it. I get that part. Sometimes you have to be in a mood for it. But every single time I host Calmer Lives, this happens. And I knew this when the numbers went up, when that fucking person came, had the call. And all that contention shot the numbers up to 200. I was like, wow, look at you dusty ass motherfucker. Look at you dusty motherfuckers.
I'm so like the yelling at each other lives. I can't. Most of them is just too goddamn much, you know.
I can't do it.
I appreciate when it's like a smart, like an intelligent conversation, and maybe it's somebody who's like, I'm a centrist, or somebody who didn't vote, or somebody who really doesn't understand Palestine. Although, to be honest, somebody really didn't understand Palestine and came up on a panel the morning the flotilla was kidnapped, fucking kidnapped in international waters, and I was very heated.
All right.
But I can't with this. And can I say something?
Yeah.
It's a little bit, it's shaded in Obama though. Barry disappointed me today.
Barack?
He made a post today where he said, the end of suffering for the Israeli families and the people of Gaza, as if what happened on October 7th was awful for Israeli people and the people who have lost loved ones. That's awful. But it is not the same as a genocide. And why is one about families and the other just like, I was disappointed in Barry for not calling out the nuances and the destruction of genocide and the need for accountability in order for there to be healing.
I have a hot take. And I agree with you 6,000%. But I'm of the firm belief, and I think we've seen it time and time again with many people, that when you're in a particular position, to say something like that is so quickly taken as anti-Semitic, or just desensitized to October 7th. Like, you'll literally say something pointing out the obvious point that Palestinians have suffered infinitely more than the Jewish population, or Israeli population, I should say, since October 7th. Pointing out that objective fact from the party of facts, right? You fucking anti-Semitic, you this, you Hamas supporter, you. And I feel like for a person of Obama's level and many other officials, they literally can't say that. They almost have to take this middle approach, where it's technically correct. Technically, none of them should have lost their lives, and it's all bad. But it's almost like, actually it is, excusing Netanyahu, excusing what their government has done, what they're justifying on a daily basis, what Donald Trump is enabling them to do. But anyway, long-winded way of saying, I don't like it, but I get it. You almost have to both sides almost every fucking thing in this government, and that's what I don't like about how centrist we are, and how centrist we, in some cases, have to be. Because when you don't, no matter how truthful it is, you alienate this whole other fucking stupid ass side.
You know, you've heard of Project Esther, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like Project 2025 that created this entire propaganda campaign that tries to say to be critical of Israel is to be anti-Semitic, like, and to be like pro-Palestinian liberation is to be like that's all Heritage Foundation propaganda. Project Esther was like built that propaganda machine and the attacks on anybody who was pro-Palestine. It's just, bleh. And anybody, I heard somebody go up on a live today and I was like, I can't go up right now, but I want to yell. Who was like, well, now we're getting a peace deal in Palestine. And I'm like, there was a peace deal in Palestine, you asshole. That ceasefire got broken in March. And also 170 people were still unalived in Palestine between January and March. But then the ceasefire was broken in March because they were emboldened by Trump. And then another 40,000 plus people lost their lives. Shit's crazy.
The problem that I have with all this stupid talk is, like, we've had several deals, or several ideas of deals, and several talks and rhetoric about deals, and it's all amounted to nothing because of Netanyahu. So this one here, I'm not saying anything until I literally see the hostages myself return to their families and get home. And until the initial part of the deal, which, if I'm not mistaken, Martina, is the Israeli soldiers leaving the region, right?
They've defined what they're calling the yellow line, which is a partial
Thank you, Amanda.
walkout. But I want to understand why it's 20 Israeli hostages, but we're not talking about the hundreds of Palestinian prisoners, including children who are locked up by the IDF right now in places where we just saw Flotia members who just got back, who were abused. They were hit. They were put in torture positions. They were denied food and water and medication. They weren't given the ability to sleep. They were interrogated. They had their children threatened. Like, they were degraded. Greta Thunberg was made to do all kinds of horrendous things, including wrap herself in an Israeli flag. Like, and just like the stories coming out of there are atrocious. And what every single one of the people coming back telling these stories is saying is, but I look like this, and they treat Palestinians 10 times worse. And there's hundreds of Palestinians who are imprisoned there, including young children. And it's just insane to me that, like, why isn't that part of this conversation? But the quote-unquote ceasefire deal is a framework at best. It says release of hostages and the IDF goes back to a yellow line. The hypothesis is that the minute that the hostages are released, then the IDF is just going to push forward again. America is supposedly sending 200 troops over, which is why are we doing that? It's not a peace deal, it's a colonization deal. It basically says that they're going to put Palestine in the control of some Western person, I forget the name of the guy. It's basically some asshole from Europe, but then they're going to sell basically the land to real estate developers. It's a colonization deal. It's not a peace deal.
Shit, man. I missed 2 phone calls from the people where I have to go get my car from. All right, we're gonna wrap up. I'm gonna see if I can get a hold of them. Thank you, Amanda. I set that last gift goal because it is one of the things in the gift gallery. That leaves us with 3 gifts left to knock out. So we should have that knocked out hopefully by Sunday. Guys, gift galleries are very important for your favorite creators, not just me. Anyone that you like, your favorite creators, make sure that you're clicking their name, you're looking in their gift gallery, you're knocking out all the things there weekly, because that pushes them out in the algorithm, reminds TikTok not to like suppress them, or at least the best of their ability, especially if you're a leftist creator. So always making sure that you're knocking out your favorite creators' gift galleries. I need to go see about getting a hold of these people. They scheduled an appointment for me anyway, which I appreciate, for 6 p.m. I need to get that earlier though, because I did not want to be in Dallas that late. I would like to get there earlier. But anyway, do all the good things. We're gonna go and do a raid. Thank you, AC. I appreciate you. Is AC live? We'll raid him. If he's not live yet, we'll just go to Erica. Let me
What
see.
happened to Erica?
Erica is live, but I haven't given AC a raid in a bit, and Erica's doing fine with numbers. She has Santana up there. All right, give me a second. We're going to raid AC. We are going to raid AC. Let me get y'all his username. And then I'm going to see about...
I think he was the 2 comments back. It says, I'm going to start my live. Love you, man. So
Yeah.
chat, if you scroll up 2 comments, you can find it.
He is live currently.
Justice over...
I'm putting
Justice
my...
over something.
I'm putting my backup up here to show y'all the username. Can someone accept my backup in the request, please?
Yeah, 1 second.
Did I get...
Mute yourself.
Okay. And... Oh my god, this phone is so slow.
Well, Hector's figuring things out. No Kings 2 is October 18th. If you feel like it is safe for you to do so, I think it's super important for us to show up bigger and stronger than we have before.
6,000%. That's the 18th, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you guys for getting Martina past 1,000 coins. She really should be much further than that. We'll work on that. But there he is. Justice Over Tyranny, Justice Over Tyranny 2, Justice Over Tyranny 2. You'll be looking for the GI Robot military helmet. Justice Over Tyranny 2. You guys know how to do this. Make sure when you go in there, you say Hector Raid. Hector Raid. Do it for one of 2 reasons. 1, let them know the love and support is coming from me. And 2, to stroke my ego. Hector Raid. Hector Raid. I will see y'all in the next live. I'm shooting for Saturday. It'll be Saturday. Yeah, Saturday at 3 p.m. CST. I will see y'all again. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much, Martina, for spending some time and hanging out and your information. Make sure you guys are following her as well. Deuces. Okay. Guys, Tube, I am tripping, bro. They literally was calling me trying to figure out when I'm coming to get this fucking car. They scheduled an appointment though, so I'll see if I can just have it adjusted in the app. But they scheduled an appointment. Tube, thank you guys. You're all awesome. All your likes, all your comments, all your engagement matters. On your end, there's a new video that I did upload today. A couple weeks back, September, we spoke to a literal pedo. And when I say literal pedo, I don't mean I'm exaggerating it or just lib talk. I'm saying this man had a profile picture up of him with a girl that we later on found out was younger than 12 years old, and said that that was his fiance in Colombia. Mind you, he's a Trump supporter. Go fucking figure. But as we spoke to him, then we spoke to somebody before him who was sympathizing with some problematic stuff. And I uploaded that video today. It's named 2 Pedos, 1 Live. 2 Pedos, 1 Live. So if you can stomach it, trigger warning, if you can stomach it and just get into the minds of these sick fucks, check that video out. I have a short up there. Make sure you check that out as well. And I will see y'all for the next live, which will most likely be Saturday at 3 p.m. CST. Watchtowers are almost done. Every last one of you are important.